Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. On behalf of the Magus Society, I present to you Psychastra, Key to Secret ESP and Control, written by Frank Rudolph Young. Ashe to the Order of the Unicorn, Ashe to the Order of the Phoenix, to all gods known and unknown, Ashe. Psychastra, Key to Secret ESP and Control. Chapter 1. How locking secret ESP and control within you can make miraculous changes in your life. How a poor man of 83 made himself young again and retired at 90 with $100,000. Jim Cowan had come to Chicago at 40 years of age and had married and reared a family of 6. He was a poorly paid clerk, and his family had barely subsisted on his wages. But his 6 children had grown up and married and settled in different parts of the country, and his wife had died. The Depression of the 30s had been a nightmare to him. Because of his age, he had done little better financially during World War II. He had never turned radical, but believed in rugged individualism and was convinced that America was bursting with opportunity for anyone with industry and ambition. Every 5 years, he repeatedly stated, everybody has at least one big chance to make a fortune, but too many pass it up and let somebody else make it. At 83, Jim saw his own every 5 years opportunity come up, and for the first time in his long life, he seized it. Mutual funds were advertising for salesmen, and he answered the advertisement and landed the job. He'd studied the stock market reports for years, but had never possessed the means to buy. As a mutual fund salesman, though, that study made him convincing to prospective customers, and the bits of cultural information from his vast reading, which he dropped naturally from his sales talk, aroused great respect and esteem for his recommendations, and he signed up an amazing number of new members. He soon moved from his shabby rooming house quarters into a neat hotel. He stopped subsisting almost exclusively on carrots, lettuce, and beets, and started enjoying better balanced meals. His back remained straight and his weight lean, but he took on just enough extra poundage now to look and feel decidedly younger. Jim also started investing heavily in a special situation mutual fund, something which no broker advised a man of his age to do. But he also invested in promising stocks when they dropped way down due to the time of the year, adverse rumors, and other courses of mass hysteria. Jim's life became so interesting that he could hardly wait to start out in the morning for another big selling shares day, and also to snap up any new bargain stocks that he'd spotted in the paper the night before. He dressed dramatically now, went to barbers instead of burning his long hairs off with a lighted match held beside the comb, and felt and considered himself as a successful man of 40 who had finally struck it rich. Jim retired at 90 with an accumulated sum of more than $100,000. The capital of the special situation mutual fund in which he invested had multiplied many times over. Most of his promising stocks had risen too. A few of them as much as 10 to 12 times what he'd paid for them. Jim, meanwhile, had been investigating retirement in Mexico. At 90, he retired and went to live there like the lord of the land, ready to enjoy another 20 years of healthy, enthusiastic life. So young did he still feel. How Jim's touching the key to the secret ESP and control can do the same for you. By merely touching the key to secret ESP control, you can do for yourself what Jim Cowan did for himself and much more. Just do it the way Jim did it. First of all, refuse to see yourself as growing old. Seize your opportunities whenever they appear, so long as you remain within the law. By never feeling old, Jim kept his back erect. He lived simply and took care of his health, and therefore never felt outside of the picture. And you must abound with confidence in yourself. Jim did, even though his life had been a financial failure up to 83. Like him, too, keep up with the times. Most importantly of all, for actually seeing the opportunities and making money fast, is to refuse to let yourself be carried along with mass hysteria. Profit from mass hysteria instead, as Jim did, by acting repeatedly contrary to it, but do it conventionally. Jim also sold most of his stocks when they made a decent profit instead of hanging on to them greedily and watching his profits go down the drain. He bought promising ones with the profits and made money with those too. He trained himself to sense the times, to feel the public pulse, and thereby to capitalize on it again and again. Had he begun doing that at a much earlier age, say at 30, 40, or 50, he would have been a millionaire many times over. Jim made all the money at that late age starting from nothing by just applying those very same principles again and again. So can you. Why? Because your astral body will absorb those repeated communications from your physical body and make itself useful to you, just as Jim's did to him. And since he wanted to buy the right stocks for him, his astral body brought him the sense of those right stocks, for it knew the past, present, and future, and therefore knew which stocks would rise fast. How unpopular Donna changed herself into a fascinating young woman. Donna Wilson had no looks to speak of, and her personality was the kind that attracted nobody. She was 25 years old and clerked in an unseen department at work. She'd gone to dances, beaches, lectures, concerts, bars, popular travel resorts, dude ranches, night colleges, taken group bicycle tours, gone to skiing resorts, and to wherever else men flocked, hoping to meet and capture an eligible bachelor. She had even spent 2 years helping out in a hospital, hoping to land an intern. But she had had no luck. She'd come into contact with hundreds of attractive and desirable bachelors, but none had sought her company for long. Her friends urged her to glamorize herself, to bleach and curl her hair, to wear thick makeup and teetering high heels and smile much more. But Donna insisted on remaining her natural self. One evening, while helping out at the USO, she perceived a tall, dark, handsome young officer of about her own age. He fascinated her, and she made up her mind to catch him. And she was determined to catch him just as she was. So she gazed at him, visualizing herself meanwhile as being the most enchanting young woman who was ideally fitted for him. Their eyes met, and she visualized him beholding her as being just the girl he wanted, just the one who suited him in all respects, just the one he had been searching for all his life. She filled her eyes with a deep yearning for him, too, to concern him that she herself felt he was the very man she wanted. The young officer gazed back at her and, despite his excellent vision, perceived her as looking like the very girl he had been searching for all his life. They met shortly afterward, and Donna, as she associated with him, continued visualizing her personality as being the very one that fitted his ideal girl. He, in turn, accepted that vision as his own. Their relationship matured fast, and they were married within 4 months. The young officer's term of service ended shortly after, and he was offered a splendid position as a CPA with a major United States corporation, and, before long, put in charge of a branch office. With Donna's eager interest to back him up, he rose fast. At 45, he was one of the vice presidents of that big concern with a salary and stock options that made him a wealthy man. He and Donna had had 3 admirable children in the meantime. Unbelievably popular, unprepossessing, Donna Wilson had achieved her ideals by seeing herself so vividly as the very girl she imagined that young officer wanted, that her astral body had automatically created that very picture of her for his eyes to see. How you, with the secret of ESP and control, can win anybody you want to. With the touch of the key to secret ESP control, you can do for yourself far more than Donna Wilson did, for she could hardly have started with less. Nor did she change herself to catch her prize either. Like her, you have to refuse to let yourself believe that you don't have enough looks, personality, or anything else you think you'd need to win anybody to you. Just gaze at the person you want to win and visualize yourself as being his or her ideal, whether you are that creature or not. Do that with everybody you want to win to you. Just visualize yourself right there before that person as being suddenly converted into his ideal, whether it be romantically, socially, professionally, or in business. At the same time, visualize yourself as looking exactly like his ideal, no matter how different from his ideal you may look. Fill your eyes, too, with a strong liking for that person. since nobody normally likes the person who despises him. Your astral body will receive this picture from your conscious mind and will superpose the very likeness of such an individual over you. The person you want to win will instantly see, with his psychic power center, only that astralized picture of you and will accept it as you and be instantly enthralled by you. How Richard Foley leafed through college but passed his examinations with a last-minute miracle memory. Richard Foley was not an ideal college student. He was, indeed, the type of student whom no one should imitate. His tardiness and absences and inattention in class infuriated the instructors, and they were ready to flunk him out at the end of every semester. They considered him an overgrown donkey who should never have been admitted to the school in the first place. But Richard constantly aborted their plans by scoring high enough in the final examinations of each semester to get by. He did it with a carefully worked out secret. He took good notes during class, but ignored them and the textbooks until the night before the examinations. In the meantime, he never worried about passing and teased his serious classmates for studying at all during the semester, when they could be having a whale of a good time, going to plays downtown, hockey games, baseball games, and taking girls out. The night before examinations, however, Richard closeted himself alone in his room with his notes and textbooks and opened them seriously for the first time. He raced through his notes in subject after subject. Then he skimmed through the textbooks, covering mainly the captions, the definitions, and underlined and italicized sentences, and anything which the instructor had suggested or directed the class to look up. He went over nothing twice. He just raced over the material on the alert, soaking it into his mind like a movie camera. He questioned nothing and deliberated over nothing. He just absorbed everything he looked at exactly as he saw it, and he did so with the overwhelming conviction that during the examination he would recall it exactly as he had seen it. Richard went to bed about midnight and enjoyed a good night's sleep. Next morning, he awoke refreshed, bursting with confidence that he would pass without trouble. He put the whole thing out of his mind and enjoyed himself until class time. Then he read the first question. Instantly, the very page and paragraph and lines upon which he had seen the answer flashed into his mind, and he just copied it down. He did so with question after question. He did not cheat nor glance at his classmates' papers. He only kept his mind cool, calm, and clear. He failed to answer only the few questions whose answers he had overlooked during his rapid skimming. His astral body had absorbed pictures of everything he had glanced at the night before and automatically reproduced them now right before his eyes the moment his conscious mind requested them. Richard Foley went all the way through college that way and graduated with ease. But, of course, he had cheated only himself in the end, for he had studied nothing. How you can easily have access to knowledge like a computer. With the mere touch of the key to secret ESP control, you can do for yourself far more than Richard Foley did for himself, for he used this great power for a limited and self-cheating purpose. You yourself, though, can use it to achieve the highest pinnacles in life. You can use it to pass the examinations required in your career for speedy advancement, to reveal to you the winning, unsuspected aspects of new, original ideas which can save your business or convert you into a millionaire, to bewilder and fascinate others in social life and be sought after everywhere. Richard Foley's whole secret was to extract just what he wanted or needed out of the universal material and nothing else. He did not try to learn all of it. He just scanned the parts which he considered necessary for his purpose, and while extracting it, he did not pause to question or deliberate over it. To do so would have disrupted his memorizing rhythm. To memorize instantly, then, you have to blot in only the material you want to remember so that it forms a clear picture in your astral body's brain. Richard Foley's astral body received these pictures and held them in readiness to be released to him as soon as he wanted them, since he had not confused them with thinking and questioning while gathering them. That is the way to do it. How Reginald shook off 60 pounds of unwanted weight. Reginald Owens was 6 feet 1 inch tall but weighed 315 pounds. He desperately wanted to lose weight. He tried everything, including skipping meals and dieting. Although he lost up to 15 pounds that way, he felt weak and dizzy and ate more than ever to regain his strength. Then he grew heavy all over again. By omitting breakfast altogether daily, he managed to keep his weight down to 308, but he wanted to lose at least 100 pounds. Reginald was in a quandary, for he was far from affluent. Yet his clothes kept him poorer still because he had to have them tailor-made. He had studied the human body, though, and held a college degree. The possibilities of ruling the body by controlling the nervous system intrigued him, and he couldn't see why his nervous system couldn't rule his weight too. Since the flow of digestive juices in the stomach could be increased eightfold in laboratory experiments, why, he asked himself, couldn't the mind just as effectively be used to reduce his digestive juices enough to curb his appetite significantly? He should then regularly consume less food and steadily lose weight. In that way, too, his digestive glands should shrink until his very appetite decreased permanently, and then he could eat anything he wanted to and not get really fat again. His sympathetic nervous system, his fighting nerves, Reginald knew, when stimulated, decreased the appetite in order to enable the organism to defend itself against peril. It did so by drawing blood away from the digestive organs into the skeletal muscles. Reginald at once filled himself with absolute confidence that he could lose weight by intensifying his sympathetic nervous system control over his digestive juices with sheer mind power. So he made himself artificially angry immediately preceding every meal. He recalled some despairing experience he had suffered, and his brain secreted serotonin and adrenergic substances which stimulated his sympathetics. Simultaneously, he sent his stomach a stern, conscious mind command to secrete far less digestive juice than it did normally. That day, Reginald ate less. Every day thereafter, he ate steadily less, without even trying to. At the end of a month, Reginald's appetite had decreased so much that he had lost 20 pounds. The next month, he lost another 25 pounds. During the third month, he lost 15 pounds more. He then went to work on the outlying farms picking fruit, for jobs were hard to find then, and disappeared from the vicinity. But he had already reduced a total of 60 pounds just by turning pleasantly angry shortly before every meal. His astral body had absorbed that picture by repetition and had infiltrated his digestive glands with it and shrunk them. How you can control your weight with Psychastra. With a mere touch of the key to secret ESP control, you can control your own weight just as Reginald Owens did. By turning angry at your food immediately before a meal, you discourage rabid hunger from your stomach and replace it with a moderate hunger. Even when you stop indulging in this artificial anger routine soon thereafter, your hunger will not turn rabid easily again because your digestive glands will have atrophied to a degree and will therefore secrete less digestive juice when you approach the dinner table. Maintain that routine for a while and you will reduce your calorie intake to the normal point without even trying to. Like Reginald Owens, your astral body will have invaded your digestive glands astrally and blunted permanently the excess hunger feeling in them. Note: the research of nutritionists suggests that the intake of food is regulated not by hunger contractions of the empty stomach, as was previously believed, but by satiety, or a feeling of fullness in the stomach, which comes about during feeding. It is caused by a satiety factor, a blood-borne inhibitor which appears during feeding and which triggers the apostat in the brain. In fat persons, it is believed the signal does not reach the apostat or is screened out by the liver or some other organ. This satiety feeling is created, however, by the sympathetics, which dilate the stomach. That's exactly what Reginald Owens was doing to himself by turning artificially angry not long before each meal. The foregoing are mere samplings of the miracles which you can easily bring about in your life with a mere touch of the key to Psychastra. Learn now how to seize hold of that key, as the following pages of this book can tell you. Chapter 2. How to find and seize hold of the magic key to secret ESP Plus control. What ESP Plus is. Webster's Dictionary defines ESP, extrasensory perception, as perception outside the realm of the senses, apart from sense perception. ESP Plus, consequently, obviously means a greater, infinitely greater, power than ESP. The psychic master explains the difference between the two even more specifically as follows. ESP, he states, is primarily concerned with the mind and body contacting the astral body, but not uniting itself with it, nor bringing it under its absolute control. With ESP Plus, the mind and body not only contact the astral body, but also unite with it and assume complete dictatorship over it and make use of any of its miracle powers at will. Psychastra is the key, magic key, that unlocks the secret pathway for your uniting with and assuming complete dictatorship over your astral body. You can then control anything of yourself or of others, either of the living or dead, or of the earth, or of anything pertaining to the earth, in any manner or form you wish. And you can do it instantly, without the necessity of previous practice or preparation. Such a power is miraculous to you because you don't know where to find the magic key to it, nor how to seize hold of it if you did. With ESP Plus, though, you would at once acquire domination over the atoms and molecules of your physical and astral bodies, of those of others, living or dead, of those of other forms of matter, of those of the atmosphere bordering the earth, of the sound waves and light waves that bombard you from outer space. With it, you could control your mind and body as you wish, as well as the minds and bodies of other people and of animals. You could control the natural elements and domineer on the astral plane. You could tell the past and foretell the future and plan your whole life accordingly and reap the greatest possible gains in anything you undertake. The mouth of your silver cord, the secret lock of ESP Plus control. Your silver cord is the astral channel or tube which connects your physical body to your astral body. It commences at your navel and passes into your astral body. It will retain this union between your two bodies until about 3 days after your death. Then it will be severed, and your astral body will depart from your physical body. Even when your astral body transports itself thousands of miles away from you during your life, as in astral projection, your silver cord remains attached to your physical body, although thinned out into a microscopic tube. The empty channel within your silver cord is walled off from your physical body by your silver cord valve. Constant, uninterrupted communication between your physical body and your astral body is thereby prevented. Your silver cord valve, in fact, normally moves in one direction only. It moves away from you into your silver cord or toward your astral body. When any communication tries to flow from your astral body into your physical body, therefore, it pushes your silver cord valve back again, and that shuts your silver cord. That effectively prevents the communication from reaching your physical body. Little that takes place in your astral body as a result is conveyed and registered in your physical body, except rare, spontaneously experienced psychic phenomena. Your physical body, as a consequence, remains a stranger to your astral body and cannot unite with it and usurp its unlimited powers. With Psychastra, the key to secret ESP Plus control, you unlock this secret pathway and reverse the normal movement of your silver cord valve at will, and allow all communication from your astral body to flow into you. With that well-guarded secret, the psychic master uses his then unlimited secret ESP Plus control to perform consciously any miracles he wishes. Where the magic key to secret ESP Plus control is concealed. From the very beginning, man has desperately sought to find the magic key to the incomparable secret of ESP Plus control. Mystics found it through their faith in the Absolute. Psychic masters found it through dedicating their lives to meditation. It has been called nirvana, kundalini, and of late, the supraconscious mind. Nirvana, though, includes mainly cosmic ray power. Kundalini has no physiological basis, since the only fluid that flows upward in the spinal canal from the base of the spine is the mild, lubricating cerebral spinal fluid. The supraconscious mind has no more basis than that, for there is no significant magnetism existing between the bodies of the widely separated pineal and pituitary glands. It required the relentless investigation of 4 generations of men, extending over every continent on the earth for nearly a century and a half, studying the sciences for years in leading colleges and universities, researching in countless libraries, and searching through one psychic master hideout after another to uncover it. With the help of the psychic masters of Egypt, India, Africa, and the West Indies, they found it concealed in the mind navel. The carefully guarded secret of the mind navel. Your mind navel is the 1-inch long astral channel outside between your navel and your silver cord. It is the hitherto unsuspected connection existing between your physical body and your silver cord, before your silver cord proceeds to join your astral body. A handful of carefully hidden psychic masters have known about it for centuries, but they guarded the knowledge of it with their lives. To the inquisitive who surprised them staring at their navels, the science of omphilopsyche, it's in the Oxford Dictionary, they simply replied that they stared at them to achieve one-pointedness, or for the total concentration necessary to unite their minds with their bodies. Actually, they were not staring at their navels, but at their mind navels. They were concentrating the energy from their psychic power centers, or from their third eyes in the forehead and temple areas of their brains, through their eyes into their mind navels, and thereby controlling the magic key to ESP plus control, which their mind navels housed. The most advanced psychic masters, whose technique you will be taught here, don't even assume that crippling position of staring at their physical navels, but contact their mind navels through a secret route within them, which you will be taught later. How the unlocked secret pathway lets ESP plus control flow into you. The 1-inch long astral channel of your mind navel, which houses the magic key to secret ESP plus control, contains only astral air, something very much like the ether or plasma of the atmosphere. It does not contain oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, or any of the other gases of air. Astral air, though, fills the channel of your mind navel so unobtrusively that your physical body is wholly unaware of it. When a communication is sent from your physical body to your astral body, your mind navel contracts and pushes your silver cord valve into your silver cord. The communication from your physical body, as a result, rushes through your silver cord into your astral body and registers itself in it. Your silver cord valve then immediately returns to its original position and seals the mouth of your silver cord again. See the bottom illustration of 1 for connection of mind navel to silver cord. Now the situation in reverse. Take the situation in reverse. When a communication is sent from your astral body toward your physical body, it tries to push your silver cord valve into your mind navel instead of backwards into you, so that it can pass through your silver cord and your mind navel and flow into you. Your mind navel, though, just contracts as it did before, and that prevents the communication from your astral body from reaching you. If you can keep that from happening, you can unlock the secret pathway and let your astral body communication flow into you. You can achieve that with secret ESP plus control by dilating or opening your mind navel instead of letting it contract as it normally does. Then, the resulting suction created in your mind navel sucks your silver cord valve into it. That at once opens your silver cord in the reverse direction of normal. The communication from your astral body will then pass through the mouth of your silver cord, and then through your mind navel into your physical navel. After that, through your psychastral route, the secret use of which will soon be revealed, it will be drawn up to your conscious and subconscious minds. In that same manner, you can draw into you the unmatchable miracle body power, knowledge of the past, present, and future, wisdom of any subject, power of divine-like healing, and inescapable mind reading of limitless sight and hearing, of instant transportation at any distance, of accurate prophecy, of astral body possession of others, of superhuman ability to meet any emergency and save lives, and any of the other miraculous powers of secret ESP plus control. Psychastra, the magic key to open the secret lock to ESP plus control. Psychastra is the magic key with which you dilate your mind navel with ESP plus control and let the suction created in it open your silver cord valve in the reverse direction and allow the communication from your astral body to flow into your physical body. Psychastra achieves this miracle simply with astral suction. It astrally sucks the ether within your mind navel away from the mouth of your silver cord and toward your physical navel, thus creating an astral vacuum at the mouth of your silver cord. Your silver cord valve, as a result, is sucked very wide open into your mind navel, and the communication from your astral body pours into you. That astral suction creating a vacuum within your mind navel is Psychastra, the magic key to secret ESP Plus control. How to seize the magic key to secret ESP Plus control. Sit alone in your room or lie down on your bed or sofa on your back and relax. Close your eyes and visualize your mind navel and your silver cord with the silver cord valve between them, effectively blocking off all communication to you from your astral body. At the end of your silver cord, estimated about 3 feet long for this exercise, visualize another you, your astral body, which knows everything and can do anything instantly. Visualize this other you as being perfectly ready and willing to do anything worthy that you ask him to do, but that your silver cord valve is stubbornly wedged between you two, preventing you from communicating with each other. Your silver cord valve is wedged stubbornly between you two because it is an astral valve, and your own conscious and subconscious minds keep it shut by doubting and scoffing about your astral body and any supernatural powers it may be said to possess. Immediately, now, halt all your doubting and scoffing by filling yourself instead with absolute confidence in your astral body and its power to do anything whatsoever on earth. Do not merely pretend to acquire this confidence in it, but saturate your whole body with it from head to foot. Feel this confidence in it filter through your whole body, from your head down to your neck, to your shoulders, to your arms, to your chest, to your waist, to your legs, and to your feet, until your entire body tingles with it. Practice saturating yourself with this confidence until you are thoroughly convinced from head to foot that your astral body does exist and that it stands there facing you, ready to obey your command. The nerve endings at your physical navel, which, until now, have been desensitized against anything astral because of your habitual mental attitude towards psychic phenomena, will suddenly acquire an abnormal supersensitivity and draw astral sensations from your mind navel for a change. The ether in your mind navel will, as a consequence, be drawn toward the physical body end of your mind navel and thereby create a vacuum by the mouth of your silver cord. Your silver cord valve will then snap open toward your physical body and allow the communications from your astral body to pour into your body. You will then have seized the magic key to ESP Plus control. Practice and master this exercise so that you can seize hold of the magic key to secret ESP Plus control at will anytime you wish. How to unite the magic key to secret ESP Plus control to your conscious mind through your psychastral route. Follow illustration 1. The nerve routes which your astral body communications pursue through your body to your conscious and subconscious minds compose your psychastral route. It consists of 5 individual nerve pathways running, like the lines of a musical bar, parallel to each other until they reach your brain. There they diverge, each one continuing to its respective cerebral destination. The 5 individual nerve pathways of your psychastral route are composed of sensory, message-bringing nerves, which convey separately to different areas of your brain astral messages of muscle coordination, pain and temperature, touch and pressure, proprioceptive, or sensations of the pull of gravity and of horizontal planes of the earth, spinal visual reflexes, or reflexes of equilibrium and righting to keep your body erect. Each of these 5 nerve pathways receives its specific astral sensations from your mind navel and transmits it to a site about midway down your back, or about 1.5 inches below a line across your back, uniting the bottoms of your shoulder blades, or into that portion of your spinal cord located within the space of your 8th and 9th thoracic vertebrae. See illustration 1. From there, the astral sensations are transmitted up your spine, parallel to each other, in different sections of your spinal cord, under the neuroanatomical names as the tract of Gall, the tract of Burdak, the tract of Lisciar, the lateral spinothalamic tract, the ventral spinothalamic tract, and so on, so forth. One of them proceeds to your cerebellum, your muscle coordination center. Others proceed to your thalamus, your sensations recording center. The remainder proceed to other parts of your brain. All terminate in your conscious and subconscious minds. All of them together create your psychastral route, and that is how the route unites your magic key to secret ESP Plus control to your conscious mind. Your psychastral route will be described more thoroughly as you are taught how to use its miraculous power. How to put the magic key to secret ESP Plus control under the domination of your conscious mind. Your conscious mind itself erects the most formidable barrier against your dominating the magic key to secret ESP Plus control with it, by its instinctive doubting attitude. Even Jesus demanded full faith from the sick before he ventured to heal them. It is difficult, on the other hand, to order all doubt of the magic key to secret ESP Plus control out of your conscious mind, because some doubt will still remain in it in undetectable ways. The animals and the uneducated, don't possess these lurking doubts, so they're easily receptive to ESP communication. You yourself can never hope to seize hold of or use the magic key to ESP Plus control unless you can absolutely put all doubts of it out of your mind. Fortunately, it so happens that your physical body possesses a secret proved ability which can put all lurking doubts out of your conscious mind and enable you to acquire secret ESP Plus control. This secret proved quality is the integrative flexibility of your central nervous system, your brain and spinal cord. Integrative means the ability to pass into another form or kind by a series of intermediate grades. With the integrative flexibility of your central nervous system, you can suddenly change any thought or impression you receive into the very opposite one instantly. Furthermore, you can halt and change it before it even reaches your brain. You can do so by halting it at one nerve gap one of a nerve pathway, or by weakening it at that nerve gap and immediately strengthening the opposite thought, either right there or at nerve gap 2 of that nerve pathway, so that you practically exterminate the thought you don't want your brain to receive. The nerve gaps or synapses are the spaces between the endings of the different nerve segments which form a nerve pathway. Each nerve pathway has from 1 to 4 nerve gaps, depending on the number of segments which form it. The usual function of the nerve gap is to slow down or inhibit the intensity of the message which is being transmitted along its nerve pathway, and it can do so by 4 times or more. Your central nervous system, though, is so remarkably flexible that it can likewise develop at the nerve gap excitatory power, or the power to accelerate or strengthen the message it is transmitting instead of slowing it down or weakening it. A scientist called that seemingly miraculous reversing power the integrative action of the central nervous system. How your central nervous system, your brain and spinal cord, possess that remarkable ability is a matter of dispute among physiologists and is too involved to be gone into here. This remarkable ability, nonetheless, makes it possible for you to rid your conscious and subconscious minds of all lurking doubts about ESP Plus and thereby enable you to dominate ESP Plus with your conscious mind. You will consequently be taught how to apply and speed up applying this remarkable ability within you right now. How to apply and speed up the integrative flexibility of your central nervous system. The faster you apply the integrative flexibility of your central nervous system when you want to put the magic key to ESP Plus control under the domination of your conscious mind, the faster you will acquire secret ESP Plus control. So, study and master that now. Lie on your back in bed or sit in a chair and shut your eyes. Again, visualize your astral body right before you, connected to you by the silver cord. Again, fill yourself with absolute confidence in your astral body and in its power to do anything whatever on earth, and let this confidence saturate your whole body from head to foot. That dilates your mind navel, and your astral body flow rushes into you through your reversely opened silver cord valve. Right away now, your conscious mind will give vent to lurking doubts that your astral body can indeed do anything whatever on earth for you, and these doubts will bounce your astral body flow right back out of your physical body through your mind navel and prevent you from even hoping to gain ESP Plus control. To prevent that from happening, the instant your lurking doubts tear loose in your conscious mind, implant the very opposite thought, the absolute conviction that your astral body can perform at once any miracle you ask of it. in the nerve gaps located halfway down your spinal cord, or where your psychastral route transmit the communication from your astral body into your spinal cord. Practice to effect this so fast that you implant your absolute conviction in those nerve gaps before the lurking doubts in your conscious mind can reach them and block the communication you're receiving up your psychastral route from your astral body. You do this regularly already when you participate in any kind of athletic competition. The boxer has to think and dodge or block the blow coming his way after it is on its way to him, and even think so fast before it reaches him that he can beat it to the punch with a counterblow of his own. So does the fencer. The basketball player does likewise when he intercepts the ball after a rival player has thrown it in a different direction from which he has been expected it to. In Psychastra, you do the same to yourself by beating your own conscious mind to the punch. When your lurking doubts subsequently reach those nerve gaps, they will be routed and exterminated from your central nervous system, while the communication from your astral body will find the way paved for it to rush on dynamically to your now unresisting conscious mind and implant itself full strength into it. You can then consciously, easily communicate with your astral body and put it under your domination and acquire secret ESP plus control. How people have locked secret ESP plus control within themselves and brought about success in everything they undertook. History is full of successes of the fortunate thousands, all through the ages, who have brought about actual or seeming miracles in everything they undertook with secret ESP plus control, even though only comparatively few of them had found the magic key to it. Religious mystics are not the only ones who have acquired secret ESP plus control. Psychic masters in India and Egypt have parted crocodile-infested rivers and crossed them safely with their followers. Others have let loose torrents upon villages that had mistreated them. Some have cured lepers with a word or mowed down a gang of thugs with a command. They have killed man-eating lions with one move or tamed them with a smile. The late Edgar Cayce diagnosed disease in people from different parts of the country whom he had never seen or heard about, and whose letters begging for his help had not even been mailed. Tony Agapoa, the Filipino healer, not only diagnoses disease accurately, although he knows little about the human body or pathology, but performs bloodless, painless surgery without instruments or anesthesia. Modern prophets, including Jean L. Dixon, predicted President Kennedy's assassination long before it took place, and many, including Cayce, who knew nothing about stocks, foretold the market with astounding accuracy. Some even warned about Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Even Caesar was told to watch the Ides of March. Nostradamus, Swedenborg, and many others have envisaged world history with mystifying exactitude for centuries beyond their time. In Africa and in the West Indies, medicine men have flown like giant birds for miles, right in broad daylight. Psychic masters in India have lived as long as 450 years, totally rejuvenating themselves as many as 5 times. Meanwhile, they regain their teeth, their sexual powers, the color of their hair, and their muscular and other physiological powers. Polynesian natives have run over red-hot coals in their bare feet without being burned. Yogis have slept in the air without support for hours at a time, or drawn swords through their cheeks or bodies with little loss of blood, and showed no effects or scars. Hawaiian pearl divers have made sharks ignore them completely. More material-minded individuals have made millions, become unbeatable in their careers or in sport, or have cheated death time and time again. Some have overcome wholly the effects of crippling strokes, even though their physicians had declared that only a miracle could improve them. Some have kept themselves looking and feeling young well into their 70s. Others who looked and felt their ages at 70 married young partners and altered their outlooks and reversed their physiological functions and turned from 20 to 25 years younger. Still others have gone to war and fought in the thickest of action for years and returned without a scratch. Indeed, there is no miracle which people have not done with secret ESP plus control. Summary of this magic key. Secret ESP plus control is a greater and infinitely greater power than ESP. With it, you actually unite with your astral body and assume complete dictatorship over it and make use of any of its miracle powers at will. Psychastra is the magic key to the secret dictatorship of your conscious mind over your astral body, and it is concealed in your mind navel. With Psychastra, psycho-astral power, you seize hold of this magic key to secret ESP Plus control and reverse the normal movement of your silver cord valve and permit full communication from your astral body to rush into your physical body. Then you unite the magic key with your conscious mind through your psychastral route. With the integrated flexibility of your central nervous system, your brain and spinal cord, you put the magic key under domination of your conscious mind and acquire secret ESP Plus control. You increase this control enormously by speeding up applying the integrated flexibility of your central nervous system. You are now ready to lock your ESP Plus control firmly within you with Psychastra and get ready to use its various miracle powers at will. Chapter 3. How to lock your secret ESP Plus control firmly within you with Psychastra. Now that you have drawn ESP Plus power into you from your astral body through your psychastral route, you have to lock it firmly within you so that you can use it consciously anytime you wish. You also want to be able to project it in any manner or form you wish, and with any intensity you wish, so that you can execute any of the different miracle powers. You will now be taught how to do that. How your conscious mind receives the communications from your astral body through your psychastral route. After the astral body flow in which you have drawn into you through your psychastral route reaches your brain, each of its 5 individual nerve pathways terminate in its own brain center. Each decodes itself there, just as it does physiologically. See illustration 1. Your thalamus decodes your sensations of astral pain, temperature, touch, and pressure. Your cerebellum decodes your sensations of the pull of gravity and the horizontal planes of the earth. Your tegmentum decodes your spinal visual reflexes, those of keeping your body erect when you're upside down, and your olive decodes your reflexes of equilibrium and writing. All of these sensations will be different when received from your astral body than from your physical body, and will therefore be decoded differently. Your astral body, for instance, is free from the influence of the pull of gravity. It has no trouble keeping itself erect when it is upside down. It is unaffected by pain or temperature and has no difficulty with equilibrium. When your different brain centers make these decodings and accept them without question, your mind and physical body are ready to put them into execution, or to project the proper astral force and form necessary to duplicate them. These decodings are then transferred from those different brain centers of yours into your psychic power center in your forehead and temples area. Your psychic power center converts them into electrical transmission and sends them into your conscious mind. That is how your conscious mind receives communications from your astral body through your psychastral route. How to unite your astral body to your conscious mind and seize complete secret ESP Plus control. Your astral body is actually a different person than you, but it resides within you, and so it possesses your own size and contours. It is composed, though, of a different substance than you. It is weightless, and it has powers which you hardly believe possible, the powers of ESP+. It can tell the past and foretell the future with exactitude. It can leave your physical body and appear anywhere on Earth instantly and return instantly, and it will never die. Actually, it weighs about 3/4 of an ounce. While you are alive and it resides within your physical body, however, it does change much like you in personality, since it is constantly bombarded with communications from you and is thereby burdened after your demise with your own conflicts. You are therefore astrally united to it in every possible way, because while it knows everything you think or do or know, you know nothing about it, except on the rare occasions when it manifests itself in you in unexplainable psychic phenomena. Otherwise, it keeps its superhuman abilities, knowledge, and powers to itself. Although it knows what will happen in the future, for instance, it does not keep you regularly informed about the future, except occasionally and unexpectedly when you live through a mystical experience, such as through a prophetic dream or through a strange impulse when you're wide awake. That is a pity, because it prevents you from using ESP Plus power even after the latter happens to reach you occasionally and unexpectedly. So, you have to unite with your astral body and also to enslave it to you so that it will always cooperate with you. Learn how to achieve that next, as follows. How to enslave your astral body with your conscious mind. Lie quietly in bed, with the room dark and your eyes closed. Get the feel of your astral body lying within you all through your body, like water soaked up in a sponge. And yet, it is not you, no more than the water is the sponge, but only something that permeates all through you. It lacks the fierce life instinct of your body cells, since it cannot die, nor is it physically alive, but only astrally alive. But now, make it feel as if it were alive, as if it craved to be physical to endow you with all its seemingly miraculous astral powers. To do so, tense your arms beside you and inhale, drawing your astral body deeper into your tissues, like the not yet saturated sponge drawing still more water deeper and deeper into its every pore. Feel your astral body flowing fully into you through the open valve of your mind navel, saturating your every body cell from your heels up to your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your abdomen, your back, your chest, your shoulders, your neck, and your scalp, till it tingles the very hairs on your head, and lastly on your face, pressing hard into your cheeks. Then relax and exhale. Rest half a minute and repeat this astrophysical exercise. This time, though, as you draw your astral body into you, feel it also drawing into you all its staggering ESP plus powers. Its powers of clairvoyance, prophecy, knowledge, infinitesimally greater than your own, and the capacity to travel any distance through space. Visualize these powers very clearly and draw them into you. Relax for another half minute and repeat the astrophysical exercise. This time, though, draw your astral body flow into you as if you were drawing life itself into you, as if your astral body will never again be allowed to depart from you, but will have to remain within you always and keep you alive eternally. Your astral body will savagely resist this foreign idea to it, for the flesh is not immortal, but continue drawing it into you nevertheless, until you overcome it and it obeys your conscious command. Battle it down if it resists, by repeating this part of the astrophysical exercise several times if necessary, until your astral body calms down and accepts its fate like a struggling, weakening, swallowed prey. Then relax completely. You will have enslaved your astral body to your conscious mind. It will soon recover and reassert its independence, but you know now how to re-enslave it any time you wish to make use of its tremendous secret ESP plus power. How to trigger the might of your secret ESP plus control. To trigger the full might and variety of secret ESP plus control with your conscious mind, you have to bring into play the limitless chemical kingdom of your brain. You do so through the medium of the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance. Your brain, physiologists have concluded after decades of experiment, possesses substances which, when released into itself in your body, can bring about volcanic changes in both of them. Among those are Y-aminobutyric acid, substance P, norepinephrine, cerebratonin, serotonin, a variety of adrenergic substances, as well as a steadily growing number of newly discovered substances. Some of them, like Y-aminobutyric acid, have been found in a greater free concentration in the brain than in any other organ examined, and are probably concerned with the maintenance of normal patterns of electricity activity in the brain. Others, like serotonin and the variety of adrenergic substances found in it, particularly in the hypothalamus, the pharmacological museum of the brain, are powerful inhibitors at the nerve gaps and combat the normal cholinergic excitation, acetylcholine secretion, found there, which facilitates the transmission of the message across it. Indeed, these powerful inhibitors decrease the secretion of acetylcholine so effectively in the more susceptible nerve gaps that they could cause psychic power disturbances in the individual, such as fits. Your brain, in other words, contains far more mysterious substances in it and is capable of synthesizing far more still than you dream of. It is this multiplicity of action of which your brain is capable, the physiologists declare, due to the apparently fantastic number of physiologically active substances it can produce, which makes the semi-isolated brain a chemical kingdom largely sufficient into itself. When you project your absorbed ESP plus control back into your astral body to perform something miraculous for you, for instance, in the following ways: to provide you with information that makes you the wisest person, or the power to spellbind the person you love, or to restore your health, or to endow you with the superhuman power, or to trim off excess weight, or to cast off a terrible but obstinate habit, or to return to you a remarkable degree of youth, or to stay the hand of death off someone you hold dear, or to protect you against assailants, or to tap a concealed source of staggering wealth for you in all these ways, your brain automatically synthesizes the very chemical transmitter agent it needs to project the right astral force and form which your astral body needs to convert that desired miracle into a reality, provided you accompany the projection with the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance. How to apply the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance and trigger the full might of your secret ESP plus control. The successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance is not exactly a trance, but is the powerful medium for triggering the full might of your secret ESP plus control. All the psychic masters who performed miracles applied it. Krishna Tandi, for example, applied it when he fed his 30 starved followers by breaking up and multiplying the bits of a quarter loaf of bread. The prophet Kantahinda applied it while he parted the waters of the crocodile-infested river and made a pathway for himself and his disciples to go across safely. The successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance is done in 2 steps. These are: Step 1. Fill yourself with a fierce rage at all doubts against the reality of supernatural power. Get so angry at them that you tremble like a wild animal about to counterattack its worst tormentor. Your brain will instantly fill itself with serotonin and with a variety of adrenergic substances, the powerful inhibitors of transmissions across the nerve gaps, and will prevent all such conscious and subconscious mind impressions from devitalizing your ESP plus control. Step 2. Fill yourself with an overwhelming conviction that the miracle power you wish to acquire can be acquired, that you merely have to command the miracle to become a reality, and it will. The chemical kingdom of your brain will automatically secrete the appropriate unknown chemical, call it X, which it needs to project the right astral force and form necessary for your astral body to convert that desired miracle into a reality. How to create the right astral force and form necessary for your astral body to convert a desired miracle into a reality. Your conscious mind is filled now with the secret ESP plus control it needs to create whichever miracle power you wish. It just has to alter your astral body flow into the right astral force and form necessary to incite your astral body to perform the specific miracle. So, learn how to alter your astral body flow into the right astral force and form necessary to bring about any particular miracle you wish. Sit or lie down gently and visualize with absolute clarity exactly the miracle you wish your astral body to perform for you. Then visualize it, performing it, so that it will understand precisely what you want it to do for you. Don't let the least doubt or hesitancy invade your mind. If it does, exterminate it at once with the integrative flexibility of your central nervous system. When that doubt bursts into your conscious mind, in other words, at once fill your psychastral route nerve gaps in your spinal cord with the opposite thought, or with the thought of absolute confidence in your astral body's ability to execute the miracle you wish. That will exterminate the doubting thought before it can devitalize your astral flow. Your brain will then instinctively secrete the appropriate unknown chemical substance, X, with which to alter your astral body flow into the right astral force and form necessary to incite your astral body to perform the specific miracle. Practice this with astrophysical exercise and master altering your astral body flow. How your secret power packets facilitate your altered astral body flow to incite your astral body to perform the specific miracle. You will tremendously facilitate the rush of your altered astral body flow to your astral body to incite it to perform the specific miracle you wish by reinforcing it before you project it back to it with your secret power packets. What are your secret power packets? Revealed now will be the secret of this concealed dynamite within you. First of all, with the exception of your sensory nerves, the nerves which bring messages from your body to your spinal cord or brain, and of your sympathetic nerves, your fighting nerves. Practically all of the nerves which extend between your brain or spinal cord and your body are cholinergic. They are called cholinergic because they liberate acetylcholine. Acetylcholine facilitates the transmission of any message or command flowing along a nerve to leap across the nerve gaps between its different segments. Practically nothing, however, is known about how or where the acetylcholine is synthesized or stored in your body before it is released in your nerve gaps. Practically nothing, in other words, is known as to where it is hidden or stored from the time it is made until it is used. Acetylcholine, however, does appear to be released continually in quanta, or packets, by cholinergic nerves, mostly by your parasympathetic nerves, your loving nerves, for these stimulate the normal functions of your body when these nerves are resting. Acetylcholine is released in much greater amounts when these nerves are stimulated. The more intensely you stimulate these nerves, the more of their nerve fibers you will stimulate, and the more acetylcholine they will release. The more acetylcholine the nerves release, too, the easier it is for the message or command flowing along them to be transmitted across their nerve gaps, and the greater it will influence your altered astral body flow. To increase the quantity of acetylcholine being continually released in these quanta, or packets, by your cholinergic, mostly parasympathetic, nerves, then is to convert these quanta, or packets, into power packets, which can rush your visualized miracle, or your altered astral body flow, much faster across your nerve gaps, and thereby remove all physiological obstacles from its path. To achieve that, you have to create those power packets and put them under conscious control. How to create your secret power packets and put them under conscious control. As you project your altered astral body flow back through your psychastral route to your astral body to incite it to perform your visualized miracle, fill yourself with a feeling of the greatest contentment, as if everything you want in life is about to come true instantly, as if by magic. Your parasympathetics synthesize the most acetylcholine when you feel happy and contented. Fill yourself with this overwhelmingly delightful feeling deep down in your bones and spread it through your muscles and finally through your skin until your whole body experiences the sensation of floating etherically in the air. Practice and perfect this astrophysical exercise to acquire this feeling in a flash the instant you miracle power command your astral body to perform the miracle you wish. Why the multi-div is the secret formula to climax miracle action. Accompany the projection of your altered astral body flow to your astral body now with the multi-div to assure your incited astral body performing the miracle you wish, because the multi-div is the secret formula to climax miracle action. The basic difference between the commonplace and the miraculous is that the commonplace adds to and subtracts from, while the miraculous multiplies and divides from. If you baked 20 loaves of bread in 1 hour, for instance, that may be commonplace. But if you started with 1 loaf of bread and broke it up into 20 small pieces and immediately converted each piece into a full loaf, you would produce 20 loaves of bread in a few seconds. You would be multiplying to the speed and to the quantity of the bread with which you start, and at the same time dividing from its resistance to your command to it to multiply. In the commonplace, to be more specific, you add to, or create, 20 loaves of bread from a certain amount of flour, and with the oven you subtract from its resistance to be converted into bread within the short period of 1 hour. In the miracle, however, you multiply or create 20 loaves of bread from just 1 loaf, and with the secret ESP plus control, you divide its resistance to be converted into bread within the very short period of a few seconds. With miracle creating ESP plus control, in other words, you always multiply your influence and control over the other person, animal, or thing to which you project it, and always divide its resistance, the time it takes to respond, to your miracle power command. That is the multi-div, the secret formula to climax miracle action. By multiplying your own power, and at the same time dividing that of your subject to resist it, you acquire supernatural control over anything and everything you project it to. Astronomically speaking, increased speed alone can multiply the destructive power of a thrown pebble to that of a bullet. It even increases its weight significantly. When you ride a merry-go-round of 10 revolutions per minute, your weight gains as much as 11% due to the centrifugal acceleration. or to the acceleration of your body mass due to the gravitational pull. Should you be shot out of a cannon like a human cannonball, you would weigh at the time nearly 460 times your original weight. And when you land on the net, you would weigh, due to the additional gravitation of weight of falling, 1,255 times your original weight. You would also weigh more at the poles than at the equator, because then you are closer to the center of the Earth, since the Earth is slightly flattened at the poles. According to the theory of relativity, too, if you could travel at the speed of light, your body size would decrease 50%, undoubtedly due to the tremendous resistance of the ether to your body. In all these instances, multiplication of some quality such as that of your speed of movement or of the position of your movement causes outstanding changes in the qualities about you which are virtually non-existent in your everyday commonplace adding and subtracting life. That is why the multidiv is the secret formula to climax miracle action. Besides, it can be multiplied or divided indefinitely, MLD n+1, until it approaches more nearly the miracles of the mystics and gods. That is why ESP Plus is infinitely stronger than ESP. ESP is limited by the mind power development of the person experiencing it, but ESP Plus control has no limit. The secret formula of the multidiv and how to use it to bring about the greatest miracle power you can conceive of. Very briefly stated, the secret formula of the multidiv consists of your 1. Multiplying the normal goal which you might otherwise attain by infinite proportions of it, or by infinite varieties of it, or by infinite combinations of proportions and varieties of it, and at the same time, 2. Dividing infinitely the normal time it would take you to achieve your goal normally. If it would take you 20 years, for instance, to become an outstanding physician, with the multidiv, you should be able to, like Edgar Cayce, Tony the Filipino Healer, Andrew Jackson Davis of the early 19th century, and others, to become one in 5 minutes or less. For it is not your human self that acquires that skill, but your secret ESP Plus control of your astral body. Man has hardly tapped the miracles he can achieve by controlling his astral body at will. How to learn how to use the multidiv. Now that you have put your secret power packets under secret ESP Plus control to facilitate your altered astral body flows rushing much faster to your astral body, and once again visualize that miracle coming true. And now multiply everything about it. If you want an increase in salary, a promotion, opportunity, someone romantically, or to heal yourself or somebody of an ailment, more physical power, confidence, nerve control, money to come suddenly into your life, whatever it is, so long as it is something worthy, instantly multiply the gains you would like to get from the miracle. Multiply them by at least 5 times. Then instantly divide, speed up, by at least 5 times the time period in which you would like to get it. If you would like to get it in 10 months, say visualize yourself getting it in 2 months. That is a practical application of the multidiv. Then practice multiplying the gains you would like to get from the miracle by 10 times, then 100 times, then 1,000 times, then 10,000 times, and do it each time fully convinced that the miracle will come about like that. You might not get a raise anywhere near that size, but you will get one considerably larger than you expected to. You will also get it much faster than you dreamed, for your employer will psychically feel that you deserve far more than he planned to give you. Summary of this secret. Here are the simple steps for locking your secret ESP Plus control firmly into you with Psychastra. Step 1. Now you are drawing communications from your astral body through your astral body flow up your psychastral route and decoding them in the 5 different brain centers of the 5 pathways of your psychastral route. Step 2. In order to convert these communications into miracle action, first of all, enslave your astral body flow to your conscious mind and seize complete ESP Plus control. Step 3. With the seemingly limitless chemical kingdom within your brain, trigger next the full might and variety of your ESP Plus control through the medium of your inhibitory excitatory subtrance. Fill yourself with the overwhelming conviction that your hoped-for miracle will come true. Step 4. That at once alters your astral body flow into the right astral force and form necessary to incite your astral body to perform your specific miracle for you. Step 5. As you project your altered astral body flow to your astral body, facilitate its rushing across your nerve gaps much faster with your secret power packets, aka feel exuberant. Step 6. Accompany the projection with the multidiv, the secret formula to climax miracle action. That ensures your miracle being performed by multiplying the gains you wish from the miracle up to 10,000 times and dividing the time you wish it to take place by 10,000 times. You will now be locking your secret ESP Plus control firmly within you with Psychastra. Chapter 4. Tension Banishing Power. Benefits resulting from control over miracle tension banishing power. With miracle tension banishing power, you can miraculously conquer any fear and get rid of all nervous tension instantly. Then you can coolly and calmly overcome any seemingly unsurmountable obstacle. Animal tamers, test pilots, trapeze performers, soldiers charging in the midst of heavy fire, the accused on trial, actors trying out for parts, athletes trying to win or break records, salesmen on the job or after big deals are just a few examples of those who have used a form of miracle tension banishing power to achieve their ends. When you are freed from tension, you automatically convert yourself from the person you are into a superhuman person. Things which you could not do successfully before, you suddenly do with astonishing ease. You likewise save yourself a tremendous amount of energy every day, both mentally and physically. The limitless chemical kingdom of your brain then constantly secretes the appropriate unknown chemical substance for your mind and body to operate most efficiently, and so you feel, think, and act always at your earthly best. Your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems then function normally within you and maintain physiological equilibrium in all your body organs, including your blood vessels. That keeps your digestion healthy and your blood pressure down. You control others much easier, for you understand them better and are influenced adversely very little by them. Your speech, your everyday performance, your physical agility, your reasoning are all better than ever, for your mind and your muscles function without obstacle. People acquire confidence in you at once and feel that you are sound and mature and level-headed, come what may. Without your even making a move, you are accepted as a leader, as the one whom everybody respects. Every aspect of your life has changed. Imagine now what you can achieve when you multiply such a power and do so instantly. What health and mental bliss you will possess. How people will throw themselves at your feet and consider you the next thing to a god. How easily you will conquer any terror that besets you, whether it be socially, romantically, or in business. No obstacle will deter you in anything you attempt, for you will quietly overcome it with the least effort. Life will be just one big success after another in anything and everything you undertake, and you will live much longer and enjoy every moment of it. You will overcome any drawback you have instantly and with astounding ease, and convert every step of your life into a steady advance in the direction you wish. And everybody will wonder what miracle power you possess. So, it pays you to acquire miracle tension banishing power without delay. The shattering nerve influence of prolonged reflex action. From morning to night, you are crowded with problems or situations, some of them quite minor, which throw you into emotional conflict. And emotional conflicts, according to Merck's Manual of Diagnosis and Therapy, may produce extreme fatigue and nervousness. Nervousness brings tension. Conversely, too, Merck adds, the physical states causing fatigability may cause nervousness. So even if you avoid people or unpleasant situations all day long, but tire yourself out in anything at all, you will still turn nervous and tense. Even if you just lay in bed all day long and do nothing, you will grow tense from boredom. There is no usual way to avoid growing nervous and tense day after day unless you drug yourself, and then you will be even more nervous and tense once you recover from it. Besides, the heart-regulating mechanisms are depressed by anesthesia. The drug, consequently, would also depress your heart action. But that is not all. Tension does not limit itself to conscious nervousness. Through your subconscious mind, it also spreads throughout your whole body, through all your nerves, including your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, and thereby tenses different organs and muscles. That results in reflex action, with all its unwanted sequelae when it lasts over a period of time, as most tension does. Your skeletal muscles affected by the reflex action, undue contraction, then atrophy from disuse, and the organs affected by it, deprived of their normal blood circulation, show degenerative changes which prepare the soil for the implantation of serious disease like tuberculosis. The hysteric does that very thing to himself with his imagination and really makes himself sick. How to induce the magical repose of SWS sleep with secret ESP Plus control. The magic repose of SWS sleep is the miracle way to banish nervousness and its consequent reflex action. SWS sleep is slow wave sleep, or sleep without rapid eye movement. It is therefore a sleep in which there is no intense activity of the central nervous system, brain, and spinal cord. It involves no intense activity of your sympathetics, your fighting nerves. It is a sleep instead in which your mind takes wings from your brain and leaves it dead to the world. With your conscious and subconscious minds away from you, the nervousness they brought you is gone with them, and the tensions with which they filled you are gone with them too. Your sympathetics grow dormant, and your parasympathetics, your loving nerves, rule you. Bereft of their exciting causes, your reflexes relax now, and your muscles and body organs return to their normal states. The only problem is that when you are under tension, your mind stubbornly refuses to fall into SWS sleep. It remains unbudgingly within your brain all the time you sleep or try to sleep, keeping you awake or half awake most of the time, and intensifying your tension and its reflexes with its dreams of conflict. In the laboratory, SWS sleep is achieved in animals by subjecting them to electroconvulsive shocks administered for 5 to 7 days. You can fall into SWS sleep yourself by putting yourself under the influence of your parasympathetic nervous system. The psychic master, however, falls into SWS sleep with secret ESP Plus control. Train yourself to do it in that manner. At bedtime, lie down to rest in your most comfortable sleeping position. Close your eyes and visualize your astral body lying in the air, about 3 feet above you, peering down at you. With Psychastra, suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route to your conscious and subconscious minds. Let your astral body flow permeate your two minds. With the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance, fill yourself with the overwhelming conviction that you can banish all tension at once. Let your brain secrete the appropriate chemical substance, in this case serotonin, with which to alter your astral body flow with the right astral force and form necessary to incite your astral body to banish your tension at once. Visualize your astral body flow dissolving your tensions in it and project it back through your psychastral route into your astral body, carrying your dissolved tensions with it. Accompany the projection with a power packet blast, feel exuberant, to facilitate your altered astral body flow rushing across your nerve gaps. With the multidiv, expect the greatest success from your astral body in banishing your tensions and in the quickest time you hope for. Perceive your psychastralized astral body now looking down at you from where it floats above you, with your tensions fixed in its head, while you yourself lie quietly beneath it, a purely physical body without a single tension. Master this tension transfer and let sleep descend upon you without resistance. Halt immediately any thoughts that try to arise in your mind by projecting them right back out and watching them cramming into the head of your psychastralized astral body, not in your own, as if they were its troubles, its concern, not yours. In astonishingly short time, you will fall into a deep, dreamless SWS sleep, and you will sleep as if you have never slept before. Your tensed muscles and organs will relax completely, and you will enjoy the magic repose of SWS sleep. When you awake, you will feel like the proverbial newborn babe. How to banish nervous tension instantly when awake. You can banish your tension instantly, too, when awake in much the same manner. The moment you are confronted with a nerve-shattering situation, at once with the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance, fill yourself with the overwhelming conviction that you can banish all your intention instantly. Your brain will at once secrete the appropriate chemical substance, in this case serotonin again, with which to prevent the fears that have rushed into your hypothalamus from reaching your conscious mind. Now visualize your astral body standing facing you, connected to you by the silver cord. With Psychastra, suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route to your conscious and subconscious minds, and let it permeate both of them. Visualize your astral body flow dissolving any tension whatsoever in them. Let your brain secrete the appropriate chemical substance, X, with which to alter your astral body flow into the right astral force and form necessary to draw all the fears and tensions out of you. Now, project your altered astral body flow out of your brain, carrying with it all your tensions and fears with it, into your astral body, leaving your mind relaxed. Act now like the new, tension-freed you. Should the least feeling of tension return to you, project it right out your psychastralized astral body, and you will experience no further difficulty banishing tension from your mind instantly when awake. How to build up the explosive energy of muscle relaxation. True muscle relaxation is possible only when both your mind and your body are free from tension. The least tension in either, and your muscles tense to a greater or lesser extent. For all incomparable athletes, all acrobats, all fashion models, all public speakers, for any activity that requires body power, body grace, or body efficiency, success is impossible without muscle relaxation. Good health, too, depends upon it, because when your muscles are chronically tense, they undergo reflex contractions when in action, even if temporary, and that brings on fatigue quickly. Your muscles then react like those of the patient with voluntary tremor. He does not tremble while sitting or lying down still, but the moment he makes a move, even if he just points a finger, his muscles tremble violently and incapacitate his actions. The relaxed muscle, in contrast, can explode with energy and act efficiently in an instant, for it has handicapped by no concealed reflex action which may suddenly grip it the moment it contracts the least. This concealed tendency to overcontract or enter into a spastic state when not due to a nerve lesion is due to a mental cause, such as nervous tension. When your muscle is tense in reflex action, besides, it builds up toxins in your blood. Continuous action of toxins upon the cells of your sympathetic nervous system injures them and causes them to atrophy. Amyloid and atheromatous degenerations are considered part of the sympathetic syndrome. Since there is a continuous flow of messages, sensory impulses, passing to your brain and spinal cord from the surface of your body, these may cause reflex action through your brain and spinal cord and contract certain of your skeletal muscles, or through your sympathetics or parasympathetics cause reflex action in the muscles of your body organs. True muscle relaxation, then, is imperative. But how do you attain it? Muscle relaxation is due to the sliding filament mechanism. There is an inherent property of the contractile elements of the muscle fibrils themselves to return to their original length. This property has nothing to do with any smoothing out of the contracted muscle by external forces, such as by your straightening your arm out after, again, your bicep is contracted. A muscle which has been shortened too much by contraction, though, shortened more than 60% according to Ramsey and Street, does not elongate after contraction. Such a degree of contraction amounts to a cramp. The force necessary to relax the muscle, nevertheless, resides within the muscle itself, as observed in heart muscle during diastole, or cardiac relaxation, and it is due to the sliding filament mechanism. And this mechanism can easily be put under secret ESP Plus control. In order to build up the explosive energy of muscle relaxation, then, with Psychastra, suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route to your conscious and subconscious minds. In your whole spinal cord, now, from the base of your skull down to the base of your spine, apply the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance. Fill the nerve gaps in that section of your anatomy. In other words, with the overwhelming conviction that you can truly relax all your muscles at once, no matter how strongly contracted or tense they may be. Your brain will at once separate the appropriate unknown chemical substance, X, with which to convert your astral body flow into the right astral force and form necessary to bring you total muscle relaxation immediately. Visualize your altered astral body flow pouring out of your spinal cord into your tense muscles and dissolving the tension in them. Then project it back into your astral body through your psychastral route. Accompany the projection with a power packet blast, feel exuberant, to facilitate the astral body flow rushing across the nerve gaps of your psychastral route. With the multidiv, expect the greatest muscle relaxation you can conceive of in the shortest possible time. Your stiffly contracted muscle fibrils will slacken like overstretched elastic and curl up like a marcelled hair. The moment they feel as if contracting again by themselves, project them out and watch them contract in your psychastralized astral body, not in your body. They will relax and curl up like marcelled hair again in your own body, ready to tense tight and explode with energy the instant you call them into action. How, with secret ESP Plus controlled tension banishing power, a person killed an attacking lion with one simple move. In a rather dry region of Kathiawar, India, Upklintu, a 25-year-old Indian fakir, was drifting behind a migrating flock near the bed of an ancient river which cut across the desert. Suddenly, he detected a slight movement in a shrub at one side of the flock. The flock broke into panicky flight, and a lion sprang out, headed for the slowest sheep. Upklintu shouted at the beast and swung at it with his staff. The lion drew away, then wheeled around and perceived its attacker. With a growl, it started for him. In consternation, Upklintu backed against a tree trunk to brace himself against the animal's expected lunge. Holding his staff in his trembling hands, he visualized his astral body standing there facing him, connected to him by the silver cord. With Psychastra, he sucked in his mind navel ether and drew in his astral body flow up his psychastral route to his third eye and let it soak right into it. The third eye is the psychic power center. Then he poured it out of his third eye, down his spine, into his trembling muscles and dissolved all tension out of them, and they now felt thoroughly relaxed. Then he projected his altered astral body flow out of him again through his psychastral route, carrying all his tensions with it into the astral body and leaving his mind and body absolutely relaxed. Upklintu's tremors vanished at once, and he saw them now inhabiting his psychastralized astral body instead of his own body. His terror of the beast vanished with his tension, and his head turned as cool as the waters of Brahmaputra at the end of winter. He stared the stalking lion straight in the eye and seized hold of his staff with both hands about 2 feet apart so that when the animal sprang at him, as it was obviously preparing to do, its deadly claws would not land on his hands and tear them to shreds. Upklintu then set his staff horizontally against his torso, about the level of his collarbones, ready to use at the proper moment. All at once, the lion leapt at his throat. Keeping his senses icy cool, Upklintu waited until the animal was high enough in the air and close enough to him, with its terrifying white fangs fully unbared. With one move, he rammed his staff straight out at it, with all his might, directly between the savage jaws. The powerful thrust jammed the head of the onrushing beast back so forcibly against its neck that with a sharp crack, it broke it. The lion dropped with a heavy thud, lifeless at his feet. Contemporary true life cases. There are individuals right in your own time who have touched the magic key to secret ESP Plus control over their miracle tension banishing power. With that touch of Psychastra, they have miraculously conquered fear and got rid of nervous tension instantly, and coolly and calmly overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Following are some typical examples. The names of the individuals and sometimes of the places have been changed. How George Aspinwall kept his head clear on the witness stand and fought back against overwhelming oppression and saved his business from disaster. George Aspinwall felt that he was being unfairly persecuted by a rival business firm. Now he was on the witness stand, defending himself against its accusations. He had never been on the witness stand before, and as the opposition lawyer stepped up to cross-examine him, his heart felt as if composed of fluttering feathers. He answered his inquisitor as best as he could, but he felt awkward and realized that he was saying far more than he was required to say. His own lawyer looked alarmed. All at once, George imagined the worst thing that could happen to him. He could be found guilty and fined heavily, and even sent to jail, guilty or not, so long as he allowed himself to be proved guilty even when he wasn't. Still, that was the worst they could do to him. They were not going to haul him off the witness stand and tear him limb for limb or subject him to confession by fire. So he looked straight at the opposition lawyer as the latter questioned him further, and this time he visualized that lawyer withering and dropping to the floor like a handful of ashes because his questioning was unfair and obviously intended to trap him or to draw more information out of him than he was entitled to. The judge repeatedly overruled the objections of George's lawyer, declaring that the answers could be struck out of the records if they proved to be immaterial to the case. Being under oath, George found himself in a spot. So again, he stared at the opposition lawyer and imagined him withering and dropping to the floor like a handful of ashes. George therefore did not let terror invade him, but filled himself with defiant courage instead and answered his tormentor with a cool, calm, and totally unshaken attitude, and gave him back just the answer and not a word more. The opposition lawyer was obviously waiting for those extra self-incriminating words, and when they failed to come, he looked nonplussed and a bit annoyed. He turned desperately to the judge, but the judge replied to him that the witness had answered the question. The seething lawyer now whirled around the judge and let loose a barrage of sharp statements and accusations, but instead of opening up furiously as he had apparently been expected to, George merely gazed back at him and saw him again wither to the floor like a handful of ashes. George's own lawyer leaped to his feet now, but the judge himself called the opposition lawyer to order and warned him against abusing the witness. From then on, the opposition lawyer began limping legally in the case as George calmly faced him and met his futile onslaughts, and he gradually faded from the picture. Before long, George's lawyer requested that the case be dismissed. When it was decided, George won. With a touch of secret ESP Plus, controlled miracle tension banishing power, George Aspinwell had kept his mind clear on the witness stand, had fought back against overwhelming opposition, and had saved his business from disaster. How Veronica Morales became a political leader of men and women and was elected to political office against all male opposition. Veronica Morales was a 28-year-old woman in a small Latin American country. It was an all-male, all-aristocrat-controlled system, and Veronica belonged to the poorly paid store clerk working class. But that was not all. To get work, a woman had to demonstrate an intimate willingness to her employer, or he would fire her the moment she stopped being nice to him. Not only that, but he would cap it all by bragging to his buddies about his conquest. Veronica indeed opposed the whole degradation of women in that society. One day, she finally made up her mind to flout the old customs of the country and demand that women be given their equal place in it. She stopped being the cowed, frightened, grateful female, quaking before her dictatorial male employer, ready to gratify his every whim in order to hang on to her own job. She courageously decided that her personal being was as inviolable as his, that she deserved the same pay for the same work as any man, that when she married, her husband should stay at home with her at night, unless his business or special society called him out, that she herself would be able to go out leisurely at night, unattended if she wished. Veronica thought it all out in bed as she rested at night in her semi-slum quarters and made up her mind to challenge the old traditions. She boldly attended political meetings, although it shocked the all-male gathering, and climbed to the platform too, and spoke. Her speech avoided the female issue entirely, but concentrated on the miserable economic and social plight of the poorer class man. The men began to listen, and her speech brought forth a wild burst of applause. When she spoke at the next meeting, the resulting enthusiasm was electric. At nomination time for ward assemblymen for that party, one man had the audacity to nominate her, but the others strongly upheld him, and she won the nomination. In the primary, the women came out with their husbands and voted for the first time in that country, and for her. Veronica won her seat with ease. Her action influenced other women in the country, and they, too, became more independent and demanding, and the movement towards the emancipation of women in that little custom-bound country took a decisive leap forward. With a touch of secret ESP Plus controlled miracle tension banishing power, Veronica Morales, in a country where women hardly counted, became a political leader of men and women, and was elected to office and started to change the whole status of her sex in the country. Summary of this secret power. Secret ESP Plus control over your miracle tension banishing power is the easiest and most effective miracle power for the conquering fear and getting rid of nervous tension instantly, and for coolly and calmly overcoming insurmountable barriers. In order to master it most easily, pursue the following simple steps. Step 1. The moment you are faced with a nerve-shattering situation that fills you with dread, at once fill the nerve gaps in your brain and spinal cord with the overwhelming conviction that you can banish all your tension instantly, both in your mind and in your muscles. Step 2. Then visualize your astral body standing facing you, connected to you by the silver cord. With Psychastra, suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route to your conscious and subconscious minds and let it permeate both of them. Step 3. Visualize your astral body flow dissolving all tension whatsoever in them. Step 4. Then let it pour down with the right astral force and form through your whole spinal cord into your trembling muscles and dissolve all the tension out of your brain and muscles so that you feel absolutely relaxed. Step 5. Now project your altered astral body flow out you through your psychastral route, carrying all your tensions with it and leaving your mind and body thoroughly relaxed. Step 6. Accompany the projection with a power packet blast, feel exuberant, to facilitate your altered astral body flow, rushing across the nerve gaps of your psychastral route. Step 7. With the multidiv, expect the greatest possible banishing of all your tension, and in the shortest possible time you want it to happen, and send your altered astral body flow back into your astral body. Step 8. Perceive your psychastralized astral body looking at you now, filled with your tensions instead of you. Step 9. Should you feel any more tensions coming into you, project them back out to your psychastralized astral body and let them enter it, not you. You will banish all your tensions with tremendous speed and feel absolutely calm and cool in no time, just as the true psychic masters do. Chapter 5. Body Power. What locking control over body power can do for you. With miracle body power, you can perform miraculous feats of strength instantly. You then overcome physical obstacles which seemed to you inconquerable before, instantly, with a sudden burst of superhuman power which you never dreamed you possessed. After you overcome them, in fact, you will hardly believe that you did it, for you will have done something which you never dreamed you could ever do, and will have done it with astonishing speed. With this miracle power, you don't have to build up first to put your inborn miracle body power under secret ESP Plus control. You can train all your life, indeed, and yet never acquire the body power which you can exert in an instant, anytime, with secret ESP Plus controlled miracle body power. To have such a power always at your disposal, besides, fills you with a confidence in yourself which conquers people at a glance. Bullies will steer clear of you, for they feel that you could flatten them, even if you don't look as if you can. Should they let their passions prevail and harass you anyway, with secret ESP Plus controlled miracle body power, you will attack them with the strength and speed of a wild beast turned loose and throw them into flight. Jack Dempsey, whose one-round knockout record staggers the imagination, has stated repeatedly that he was wound up like a spring before the bell rang for those bouts, but that after it rang, the spring unwound within him with such unbelievable fury that the next thing he knew was that his opponent was down. His blows had flown so fast and furiously that he could hardly recollect afterward what he had thrown. Not only that, but he could not even recollect feeling any of the stunning blows which he himself was supposed to have received during the furious exchange that preceded his one-round knockout. Whether he was aware of it or not, Dempsey had released a miracle body power. No wonder he had been called the hardest-hitting boxer of all time. So, be you a man or a woman, master the 7 parts of this miracle power, for you never know when you might suddenly have to use it to save yourself or someone else from disaster. The 7 parts of controlled body power revealed. Secret ESP Plus controlled miracle body power is composed of 7 parts. The moment you are faced with a situation that requires miraculous physical power for you to escape or overcome, 1. At once apply the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance. Fill yourself with the overwhelming conviction that you do possess the physical power to surmount it. 2. Then, with Psychastra, suck in your mind navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route and into the muscle groups you will have to use. 3. Then apply the ESP Plus controlled subliminal fringe on those muscle groups to endow them with Herculean strength instantly. 4. Increase their maximum contractions to the peak with calciumated astralized nerve gap fusion. 5. Maintain the peak contractions even after you are exhausted with the ghostly muscle power contraction of the after discharge. 6. Hold the contracting muscles in position against unbelievable opposition with the unbudging myospasticity of your sympathetics. 7. Lock your miracle arm power, leg power, shoulder power, back power, or any other muscle power into you while using it with the spinal astral reflex arc. The 7 parts will now be programmed for you. From the previous lessons, you already know how to do parts 1 and 2. Part 3. How to apply the ESP Plus controlled subliminal fringe on the muscle groups to endow them with Herculean strength instantly. With your altered body flow now saturating the muscle groups you are about to use to meet the overwhelming situation, you have to endow these muscle groups with Herculean strength instantly. This can be achieved easiest with the ESP Plus controlled subliminal fringe, which presents nerve occlusion. Strange to reveal, your maximum muscle power acquired either physiologically or through ESP Plus control is produced not through your applying at one time the most intensive nerve stimulation, or nerve command, to the muscle to contract, but to your applying 2 weaker ones to it successively. That is known physiologically as the subliminal fringe. The reason for that is made vivid in illustration 2 as follows. If you stimulate, command, a muscle to so intensely that all the nerve fibers transmitting the command to the muscle contract all the muscle fibers at the same time, then all the nerve fibers from the first whole muscle command nerve fibers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, will contract all the muscle fibers they command, at the very same time that all the nerve fibers from the second whole muscle command nerve fibers 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, contract all the muscle fibers which they command. Nerve fibers 4, 5 in that event will be stimulated, commanded, both by the first and second whole muscle command nerves at the same time. Since nerve fibers respond completely or not at all to stimulation, command, there will result an overlap, or occlusion, in their commands to your muscle fibers to contract. Nerve fibers 4 and 5, therefore, will be stimulated only half by the first and only half by the second whole muscle command nerves. In contrast, when the first whole nerve is stimulated, commanded, first, and the second whole nerve later, the 2 whole nerves will each stimulate its own 5 nerve fibers fully, with no overlapping of the stimulations. The increased power which they will consequently discharge to the muscle is considerable. For instance, when the 2 whole muscle command nerves of the tibialis anticus muscle, the muscle of the outside front of the calf, are stimulated intensely together at once, they produce the total muscle power of only 1.81 kilograms. But when the 2 are stimulated weakly but individually and successively, they produce the muscle power of 1.57 kilograms for one whole muscle command nerve plus 1.58 kilograms for the second whole muscle command nerve, or a total of 3.15 kilograms, or nearly twice as much power as when both muscle command nerves are stimulated, commanded, at the same time. And it is simply because occlusion, or central overlap, was prevented in the nerve fibers of the 2 whole muscle command nerves by the subliminal fringe, or by stimulating, commanding, each of them weakly but successively. The same applies to your stimulating any muscle with your conscious mind command. Exercise for contracting your biceps with a subliminal fringe. Try to lift something with your biceps. Lift it first with one sudden arm flexure. Then lift it another way. Start lifting it with a slight flexure, but relax the arm for an instant. Then lift the weight to full range. You will lift the weight noticeably easier the second way, for you will be lifting it with the Herculean effect of the subliminal fringe on your muscle command nerves. Part 4. How to increase the maximum contraction strength of your muscles to maximum peaks with calciumated astralized nerve gap fusion. Now that you have endowed your muscles with Herculean strength and action, you want to reap the utmost results from their action all the way to the end of their contractions. This is achieved by increasing their maximum contractions to their peaks, and the best means for that is calciumated astralized nerve gap fusion. This means will now be explained. The faster your command rushes to your muscle across the nerve pathway of its muscle commanding nerve, the more intensely it will activate your muscle. That's why your muscle commanding nerves transmit their commands much faster than your message bringing nerves, or the nerves which transmit the messages from your body and your organs to your spinal cord and brain, and faster also than the nerves of your sympathetics and parasympathetics. Your pain fibers, message-bringing nerves, transmit their impulses, their messages, the slowest of all, or only at a speed between 0.3 to 1.6 meters per second. Your muscle-commanding nerves, in contrast, transmit their impulses, their commands, at 90 meters per second. The velocity of the transmission across the length of the nerve, though, does not alter in the individual nerve. Evolution has therefore multiplied the speed of transmission of your nerves by means of 6 different adaptations to enable you to cope much easier with the ever-present perils of life. By multiplying them yourself still more with ESP Plus control, you will come closer to acquiring miracle body power. So look closely now at the 5 ways nature itself multiplied that transmission speed of your nerves, and particularly of your muscle-commanding nerves. 1. Nature has increased the length of your individual nerve and thereby reduced the number of nerve gaps along the nerve pathway, which otherwise retarded significantly the velocity of your nerve transmission. This is particularly true of your muscle command nerves. 2. Nature has increased the size of your nerve fiber, for the velocity of nerve transmission is proportional to the diameter of the nerve. Again, this is particularly true of your muscle command nerves. 3. Nature has covered many of your nerves with a sheath known as the myelin sheath, which with the result that a small nerve fiber with a thick myelin sheath transmits impulses faster than a big nerve fiber with a thin or even no myelin sheath. As 8U, that's 8 microns, cat nerve fiber with nearly half its diameter being myelin sheath, for instance, transmits impulses at the same speed as 650U, squid, giant nerve fiber with only 1% of its diameter being myelin sheath. That's from Best and Taylor. Nature has added nodes and saltatory conduction to the sheath of the nerve fibers of the vertebrae. These, within limited dimensions, also favor high-velocity nerve transmission. 5. Nature has created intrinsic differences in the excitability of the membrane covering your nerve tissue itself, as well as to its reaction to the time and space of the factors of stimulating it, as was demonstrated in the subliminal fringe type of stimulation. All these factors are inborn in you, and different animals have evolved different adaptations to attain them. There is a particular one, though, which you yourself can use to multiply enormously and instantly the speed of your nerve transmission and thereby activate your muscle more intensely. It is astralized nerve gap fusion, and it is the command accelerator which the psychic master uses. Nerve gap fusion is possible for several reasons. For one thing, there are striking histological cell structure differences among nerve gaps, and these must, by their geometric patterns, result in differences of speed and the transmission of the message or command across the space between the ends of the nerve segments that compose them. Furthermore, there is evidence that nerve gaps exist with large equal surfaces on each side of their gaps, and that they transmit the impulses not through the medium of secreted acetylcholine and the spaces between them, but through surface contact. It all signifies that the body is perpetually trying to evolve newer and more efficient ways and means to speed the transmission of its messages and commands to its different parts, and therefore is instinctively cooperative to respond to any efforts of yours to help it along in that direction. The revealing secret of the nerve gap electron opaque band. Acetylcholine, the substance secreted at the nerve gaps which makes it easier for the message or command to be transmitted across them, is secreted also at the nerve gaps, both of your sympathetics, your fighting nerves, and of your parasympathetics, your loving nerves. But since calcium facilitates the release of acetylcholine at all nerve gaps, it consequently speeds up tremendously all transmission of nerve messages or commands across all nerve gaps. A sympathetic, fighting nerve, predominance in the body favors calcium in the body, while a parasympathetic, loving nerve, predominance in the body favors potassium. Now, then, there is evidence that the large equal surfaces on each side of the nerve gaps do come into contact. Scientists made the discovery when they found isolated electron-dense spheres lying under the membrane of the farther away surface of the nerve gap. It indicated that the protein found on the nearer surface of the nerve gap, which contains a high proportion of basic amino acids like lysine, histidine, and arginine, had been pasted upon the further away surface of the nerve gap instead of being transmitted across the gap to it. The protein could not have been transmitted across to it through the medium of the acetylcholine because the acetylcholine mediates only the transference of the electric charge carrying the nerve's impulses across the nerve gaps. The nerve gaps, then, had been fused. Nature, in other words, is still trying to find other ways to speed up the transmission of the messages or commands across the nerve gaps. She is therefore most willing to help you encourage nerve gap fusion yourself, as the psychic master does. So, practice this next exercise assiduously to speed up your commands to your muscles and activate them more intensely. Exercise. How to fuse your Hercules-making nerve gaps astrally. If you could fuse the nerve gaps of your nerve pathways yourself, they would transmit your muscle commands through your nerve pathway as if it consisted only of one long continuous nerve from your brain to your muscles. Transmit across it one-to-one, as the physiologists say. Since calcium is the great transmission expediter because it quickens the release of acetylcholine at the nerve gaps, it is obviously the means for your drawing the opposite sides of your nerve gaps together. Excess calcium, though, slows down the speed of transmission. So, increase your calcium influence enough to draw the two surfaces of your nerve gaps together, but don't increase it beyond that degree. How to demonstrate astral body strength. So, sit down or lie in bed to relax and learn how to do this exercise. Later, do it while you are physically active. Relax your arm now, then suddenly turn savagely angry. Think out the most enraging thought you can pull up. Your sympathetics will immediately predominate in you and rush calcium to your nerve gaps to facilitate the transmission of your commands to your muscles to fight or take flight. At once, with Psychastra, suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route and into the muscles of your arm. With the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance, fill yourself with the overwhelming conviction that your arm is so powerful now that it can knock out a lion with one blow, or can lift up one end of a car. Let your brain secrete the appropriate unknown chemical substance, X, with which to alter your astral body flow to the right astral force and form necessary to perform either of those feats instantly. Visualize your altered astral body flow pouring into your arm and filling it with this power. In order to fill it with that power, your altered astral body flow will have to transmit this miracle power to your arm without losing speed around your nerve gaps. You achieve that when you turn on the full force of your emotions. Part 5. How to maintain the peak contractions of your muscles even after you're exhausted. Now that you have brought your muscle groups to their peak contractions, you have to maintain the contractions long enough to gain from their miracle power, even when you are exhausted, or you will fail to perform the body power miracle you are trying to. The best means for the psychic muscle power contraction of the of the after discharge. This secret will now be explained. The more you do something, the easier it is to do it. The repeated nerve impulses, messages, and commands for doing it will cross the nerve gaps of the nerve pathways to it easier and form a conditioned reflex. With miracle body power, the repeated nerve impulses achieve even more, for they also induce the nerve itself to grow longer and thereby transmit the command faster still to the muscle. For the more you use a muscle, the more its commanding motor nerve grows. The more you use the muscle, too, the more message-bringing sensory nerves transmit that sensation from it back to your conscious and subconscious minds, and so the muscle will soon respond automatically to that command every time you start to use it in that manner. That conditioned muscle, besides, will remain contracted even after you stop commanding to it. This psychic or ghostly muscle contraction is called the after discharge. The after discharge is quite significant. In the crossed extension reflex of an animal being dissected for study, when the nerve is stimulated intensely, the ghostly contraction may last 1 second or more after the stimulation is stopped. In other reflexes, such as the scratch reflexes, the ghostly contraction lasts only 60 to 70 seconds longer, milliseconds longer. Strengthening or lengthening the stimulation lengthens the after discharge time. Indeed, nerve trunks even remain excitable and may respond to stimulation after the experimental animal has been killed by an overdose of anesthesia. The ghostly contraction, therefore, may last even after death. Control by Psychastra. Although the ghostly contraction of the after discharge results from the continuing and then gradual subsiding of the excitatory state which the successive stimulations have built up in the nerve, there is no accepted explanation for it. The important fact, however, is that Psychastra can both intensify and prolong this after discharge ghostly contraction time, so that your body power will remain with you long after the other person has left him, and thereby you can vanquish him easily. Even if you are fatigued or exhausted by then, your muscles will still respond to Psychastra because the nerve trunks, as was revealed before, remain excitable and may respond to stimulation at your command. How to generate the ghostly muscle power contraction of the after discharge. Repeat the last exercise of part 4, that of fusing your Hercules making nerve gap astrally, and proceed from there. Visualize your altered astral body flow now, rushing back up your arm, down through your psychastral route, and project it out of you into your astral body. Accompany the projection with a power packet blast, feel exuberant, to facilitate your altered astral body flow, rushing across your nerve gaps. Contract your arm immediately in the defensive move you planned. First, a slight contraction, then a powerful one. In other words, more or less, apply the subliminal fringe. Then forget your contracted arm entirely and think of something else. But keep it contracted fully for 4 seconds, like a shorter isometric exercise. Practice and master this and you will swiftly feel incredulously strong. You will be generating the ghostly muscle power contraction of the after discharge. Part 6. How to hold your contracting muscles in position against all opposition. Now that you are maintaining the peak contraction of your muscle groups, even if you're exhausted, you have to hold the contracting muscles still in position, even if the opposition or resistance is unbelievable, or your muscle body power will not achieve the miracle you are striving to. You achieve this with the unbudging myospasticity of your sympathetic nervous system. What is that? Well, it so happens that the power of your muscle contraction is not due to the intensity of its maximum contraction alone. A half-dead hysteric or a subject under hypnosis can swiftly unloose a muscle force and agility which fantastically surpasses that of the best conditioned athlete. And he does not unloosen it by thinking he's so powerful, but by previously unsuspected changes with his subconscious mind made upon his muscles through his sympathetic nervous system. What are these previously unsuspected changes? Well, one scientist reportedly has shown that the voluntary or skeletal muscles are composed of large and small fibers. Their large fibers are activated by the muscle commanding motor nerves, and they contract the voluntary muscles, like those of your arms and legs, as distinguished from those of your blood vessels. But their small fibers are activated by the sympathetics, and they produce a spastic state which holds the muscles in the position, or in the contraction, given them by the large contracting fibers. Smaller fibers, besides, are much stronger than large ones, just as the muscles of the ant are stronger relative to the proportion of the man. Once your muscles contract, then, and you assume a savage attitude, your sympathetics, actually your adrenal glands, will be stimulated and will throw the small fibers of your voluntary muscles into a spastic-like state and multiply their tonicity. So, now, repeat the exercise of generating the ghostly muscle power contraction of the after discharge, which you just did. But at the end of it, when you contract your arm for 4 seconds, do it with a savage feeling. The more savage, the better. It will stimulate your sympathetics, actually your adrenal glands, at once, and their hormones will contract the small fibers of your arm muscles. Repeat this exercise with other muscles or major groups of muscles of your body, such as your shoulder muscles, to lift or push, your back muscles, to pull upwards or downwards towards you, your leg muscles, to push up your body from squatting posture, and multiply the power of each at will. You will be amazed at your new powers. Part 7. How to lock your muscle group power into yourself with the spinal astral reflex arc. Now that you are holding your contracting muscles in position against an unbelievable opposition, you have to retain this miracle power in you until the miracle is performed. You retain it with the spinal astral reflex arc. Otherwise, you risk missing your goal because of your post-nerve gap inhibition. Scientists Frank and Fortis were the first to report a pre-nerve gap inhibition, presynaptic inhibition, which removed the electric excitability of the membrane on the further away surface of the nerve gap and killed the nerve message or command that was being transmitted along that particular nerve pathway. Frank proposed 2 possible explanations for that tragedy and concluded that post-nerve gap inhibition was far more responsible for it than pre-nerve gap inhibition. Post-nerve gap inhibition will develop in the membrane of the farther away surface of the nerve gap of that muscle command nerve pathway and prevent the nerve from providing you with any further miracle body power. The easy way to surmount this peril to your miracle body power is by sustaining that muscle or muscle group contraction through the spinal astral reflex arc. What is the spinal astral reflex arc? First of all, see illustration 3. All the large muscle groups of your body, that is, your arm muscles, your leg muscles, your shoulder muscles, your back muscles, are commanded by nerves distributed from specific nerve plexuses composed of different whole nerves which branch off from adjoining segments of your spinal cord and entwine with each other. The segments in the spinal cord from which they branch off are their reflex centers. The spinal astral reflex arc is created by implanting the multidiv in the reflex center in your spinal cord of any particular muscle or muscle group whose miracle power you want to lock in and then blasting it through the commanding nerves of its specific nerve plexus into that very muscle or muscle group. Do it with your different major muscle groups in the following exercises with the help of illustration 3. Exercise 1. How to lock in your miracle arm power with the spinal astral reflex arc. To lock in your miracle arm power with the spinal astral reflex arc, implant the multidiv in the reflex centers of your biceps and triceps. These centers are located in the middle and lower segments of the portion of your spinal cord in your neck. See illustration 3. These segments of your spinal cord distribute muscle commanding nerves which form the middle and lower roots of your brachial plexus. These roots send muscle commanding nerves to your biceps and triceps and contain their reflex centers. To implant the multidiv into the reflex centers, visualize the greatest power which you wish your arm had, and the quickest time you wish to have had it, and fix that thought picture both on the middle and lower segments of your neck, or on your brachial plexus. Then blast it through the muscle commanding nerves of your brachial plexus into your biceps and triceps, and affix it there. The spinal astral reflex arc will at once lock your miracle arm power into you and keep it in you all the time you use your arm to perform the miracle. Exercise 2. How to lock in your miracle shoulder power with the spinal astral reflex arc. To lock in your miracle shoulder power with the spinal astral reflex arc, implant the multidiv in the reflex centers of your trapezius and deltoid muscles. These are located in the upper and lower segments of your spinal cord in your neck. See illustration 3. These segments of your spinal cord distribute commanding nerves which form the upper and lower roots of your brachial plexus. These roots send muscle commanding nerves to your trapezius and deltoid muscles and contain their reflex centers. To implant the multidiv into their reflex centers, visualize the greatest power which you wish your shoulders had and the quickest time you wish them to have it, and fix that thought picture in the upper and lower segments of your neck or on your brachial plexus. Then blast it through the muscle commanding nerves of your brachial plexus into your shoulders and affix it there. The spinal astral reflex arc will at once lock your miracle shoulder power into you and keep it in you all the time you use your shoulders to perform the miracle. Exercise 3. How to lock in your miracle back power with the spinal astral reflex arc. To lock in your miracle back power with the spinal astral reflex arc, implant the multidiv in the reflex centers of your erector spine and latissimus dorsi muscles. These are located in the segments of your spinal cord in the lower part of your neck and in the upper 5/8 of your spine. See illustration 3. These segments of your spinal cord distribute muscle commanding nerves to your latissimus dorsi and erector spinae, sacrospinalis muscles and contain their reflex centers. To implant the multidiv into their reflex centers, visualize the greatest power which you wish your back had and the quickest time you wish it to have it, and fix that thought picture on the lower part of your neck and on the upper 5/8 of your spine. Then blast it through your muscle commanding nerves of those regions of your major back muscles and affix it there. The spinal astral reflex arc will at once lock your miracle power back into you and keep it in you all the time you use your back to perform the miracle. Exercise 4. How to lock in your miracle hip and leg power with the spinal astral reflex arc. To lock in your miracle hip and leg power with the spinal astral reflex arc, implant the multidiv in the reflex centers of your major hip and leg muscles, your gluteus maximus, your hamstring muscles at the back of your thigh, your vastus muscles at the front of your thigh, your gastrocnemius muscle at the back of your calf, and your anterior tibial muscle at the front side of your calf. Their reflex centers are located in the portions of your spinal cord at the base of your spine and in your sacrum, the bone which supports your spine from below. These portions of your spinal cord distribute muscle commanding nerves which form the lower segment of your lumbar plexus and the whole of your sacral plexus. These plexuses send muscle commanding fibers to your hip and leg muscles and contain their reflex centers. To implant the multidiv into their reflex centers, visualize the greatest power which you wish your hips and legs had and the quickest time you wish them to have it, and fix that thought picture in the region of your spine from below your waist down to halfway down your hips, or on your lower lumbar and all of your sacral plexuses. Then blast it through the miracle commanding nerves of those plexuses into your hips and legs and affix it in them. The spinal astral reflex arc will at once lock your miracle hip and leg power into you and keep it in you all the time that you use your hips and legs to perform the miracle. Practice these exercises by combining different ones with each other, since most miracle body power feats require the use of several different groups of muscles, either one after the other, or more than one at a time at the same time. In the summary at the end of this power, you will be shown how to use the 7 parts in succession. Practice and master these 7 parts of secret ESP Plus controlled miracle body power so that you can perform Herculean feats with them instantly and consciously. How Gatlinga slew 23 would-be assailants single-handedly with a shepherd's staff. The yogi Gatlinga was marching through the marketplace at the edge of a village of the Punjab. He gazed hungrily at the food, but was without means to procure any of it. A beggar from the Dravidian caste suddenly snatched a handful of edibles and fled. A tumult resulted. Gatlinga, being a stranger to the village and looking like a beggar himself, with his tattered garments and worn shepherd's staff, was at once suspected of being a companion of the thief. A dozen swearing villagers gathered around him, cursing him and flashing murder in their eyes. Exploding with anger, Gatlinga sucked in his miracle body power within him from head to foot and raised his shepherd's staff in warning. The dozen swearing villagers seized any weapons at hand and sprung at him from all sides. Gatlinga's muscles instantly turned into those of a super being, and he flattened his first attacker as if dead. He rolled around with lightning speed and flattened the one behind him. With equal swiftness, he sent the one at the right of him reeling and kept them all at staff's length. He practically saw right through the back of his head and knew exactly when to turn and swing his staff, and his swings were so accurate that he missed no one he struck at. Shouting defiantly, the villagers grew fast in numbers and besieged him from all directions. Gatlinga was kept busily swinging here and there and turning speedily to hit the others. In that blazing sun, the hectic struggle lasted 2 hours, but instead of tiring, Gatlinga's muscles assumed a tireless semi-spasticity that multiplied their power and nullified all pain. As time passed, he battered one assailant against the other to the ground until he was surrounded so thickly with their bodies that these in themselves protected him. By the time he retreated into the forest, he had slain no less than 23 of them single-handed with his miracle body power. Contemporary true-life cases. There are individuals right in your own time who have touched the magic key to secret ESP Plus control over their miracle body power. With that touch of Psychastra, they have spontaneously performed miraculous deeds which saved the lives of others. Following is a typical example. The names of the individuals and the places have been changed. How the frail, unathletic 62-year-old Stanley lifted the back of his car with his bare hands to move the life-crushing wheels off his son. Stanley was driving back to Chicago with his family, following a short Easter vacation motor trip. Torrential rains had preceded them the night before they reached Indiana, and rivers had flooded the blocked-off roads. Some had inundated high trees and two-story farmhouses. Stanley detoured again and again in his efforts to get back home. While he was making a sharp turn to detour again, his back wheels got stuck. His 14-year-old son, John, climbed out to see. Stanley followed his directions to steer out of the impasse, but the car would not budge, so he, too, climbed out to inspect. John prostrated himself on his back in the mud to peer under the car. All of a sudden, the wheels turned, and the left rear wheel pinned down John over his chest. The family members shrieked and scurried about. Stanley could not start the vehicle with John under it, for the other wheel was so embedded in the mud, and both would turn but not move the car. Stanley had to do something miraculous without delay. Utterly forgetting that he was a frail, unathletic man of 62, Stanley seized the back of his car by the bumper and pulled it upward with all his might. The car did not budge. John could not remain alive much longer. Stanley seized the bumper again and pulled up. Everything seemed to back out. When he was staring at a clearing blackness, he heard voices. He detected John still on the ground, but he was lying at one side of the car, and the family was tending to him. It was also praying and blessing Stanley. He had wished so desperately to save John that he had tried futilely to lift the killing automobile off him. That failing, he blacked out and had lost consciousness, and his astral body had seized the bumper with his hands and lifted the car off his son's chest. Summary of this secret power. Secret ESP Plus control over your body power is the most effective miracle power for performing incomparable feats of strength instantly, either in sports or to save a life. In order to master it most easily, pursue the following simple steps. Step 1. The moment you are confronted with a situation that requires miraculous physical power for you to escape from or overcome, at once, with the successive inhibitory excitatory subtrance, fill the nerve gaps in your brain with the overwhelming conviction that you do possess the physical power to surmount it. Your brain will immediately secrete the appropriate unknown chemical substance, X, to prevent any doubt about the capacity of your body power from reaching your conscious and subconscious minds and filling you with fear, terror, or muscular weakness. Step 2. Then visualize your astral body standing facing you, connected to you by the silver cord. With Psychastra, suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route into the muscle groups which you will have to use to meet that situation and permeate them. Step 3. With the subliminal fringe to prevent muscle fiber occlusion, send your muscle groups a weak command to perform that feat of strength instantly. Relax and send them a second but stronger command to perform the feat. Step 4. Turn savagely dominant now and visualize your astral body increasing the maximum contractions of those contracted muscles with calciumated astralized nerve gap fusion. Step 5. With the spinal astral reflex arc, lock in your miracle body power into those muscle groups by implanting the multi-div into their reflex centers in your spinal cord and visualize them possessing the greatest power you wish them to have and in the quickest time you wish them to have it. Step 6. Then blast that power through the muscle commanding nerves of those muscle groups into those very muscles and affix it in them. Step 7. Then perform the miraculous feat you set out to do. Chapter 6. Memory Power. The mighty achievements possible in locking control over your memory power. With memory power, you can perform miraculous feats of any type of memory instantly. You can memorize a whole book of facts merely by scanning through the volume swiftly, retentive memory. Or you can project from yourself a vocabulary or even information which you have never studied and can't even recall hearing before, and yet use it as effectively as if you'd studied it thoroughly. You then no longer have to memorize by indulging in long, repetitive rehearsing or by spending years accumulating a unique vocabulary or a deep fount of knowledge before you can have either at your fingertips. Indeed, you could practice for months memorizing a whole book otherwise, and still not be sure enough of the material it contains. Or you could spend years studying and still not acquire an extensive vocabulary or a wealth of knowledge ready for instant recall. With ESP Plus memory power, you not only recall exactly the facts you memorized, but your conscious mind actually sees the very page and paragraph and line and typography from which you scanned it. Or its words just fall upon your tongue, or the information just pours into your brain when you need it. All with a stunning instancy that leaves the dictionary, the thesaurus, and the textbook nothing more than useless weight of paper. You probably can't even define the astounding words you use either, but still you use them with dazzling accuracy. You probably can't even track down or explain the amazing information that you recall so magically, and yet it is still exact information. If you are formulating important or crucial plans for yourself or your company, solving a perplexing problem in your occupation, fighting a desperate case, or inventing something original, the very knowledge you need will flash into your mind when you need it. It may be knowledge which you hardly remember absorbing and which may be difficult to track down. Whenever the esteemed author Thomas Wolfe seized hold of his pen, his creative mind swarmed with such an endless stream of minute recollections of his own daily life that he actually recollected, he said, himself within his mother's womb. Sometimes your memory brings you tremendous knowledge when you are asleep and dreaming. Eli Whitney tried hard to invent the cotton gin. Then he dreamed of something simple that provided him with the basis for the invention that revolutionized cotton crop production and catapulted cotton into a leading industry. With miracle memory power, you achieve success in life which are practically impossible to achieve without it. How to control your recent and distant memories with your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. To acquire the greatest memory possible, you have to control it with your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Besides there being two distinctly different types of memories, the retentive and the creative, these are divided into three different time length memories. 1. The immediate, 2. The short term, and 3. The long term. Immediate memory, memory trace, short term memory, memory storage, and long term memory, memory retention. In other words, all are dependent on time. All three clearly indicate that long-lasting trace, memory, of an experience is not completely fixed, consolidated, fastened, or coded in your mind at the time of the experience. It takes time for the memory of anything to fasten in your mind. For several hours after you undergo an experience, as a result, its fastening in your mind may be quickened or slowed. Now, since permanent or long-term memory fastens in your mind slowly over a period of time, there must exist processes in your mind through which the memory of the experience is retained in your mind over the short term while it is fastening in it. There also exists in your mind an immediate memory without permanency. Such a memory is different from short-term or long-term memories, for the latter two increase with time. The evidence in any case, according to physiologists, definitely shows that learning or trial-to-trial improvement in animals does not depend altogether on permanent storage of the memory of it, but that it can be quickened or facilitated by increasing the time between the learning periods. Although there is little doubt, then, that memory storage can be obstructed, there is also accumulating evidence that it can be facilitated. Strychnine, for example, may help facilitate learning the steps for performing a task. Nicotine, caffeine, amphetamine, physostigmine, magnesium, pimolene, and many new drugs do facilitate learning in laboratory animals. When strychnine is administered more than 30 seconds after the end of a training period, however, memory storage is not facilitated. Memory lies in an increase of the transmission of the nerve impulse across the nerve gaps, or in a predominance of the parasympathetics, which lead in secreting acetylcholine, the great facilitator of nerve gap transmission. Memory, to put it simply, lies in feeling exuberantly powerful. The more you enjoy trying to remember the material, the better you memorize it. In contrast, though, an almost forgotten habit becomes well remembered by you when your sympathetics are stimulated, for your amount of secreted acetylcholine is decreased since your sympathetics secrete other substances at their nerve endings. The more determinedly you try to recall an almost forgotten habit, the surer you will recall it, even if you have to take recesses during your efforts to recall it. A well-remembered habit, though, is forgotten when your sympathetics are stimulated, or when your acetylcholine secretion is decreased because you're trying hard to recall it. How to develop amazing short-term retention memory. To develop peerless short-term retention memory, then, you have to memorize the material enjoyably. Your parasympathetics will consequently increase your memory of it at first, and you will remember it best during the first 3 days. Should you happen not to learn it well enough, though, change and concentrate on it hard and intently. Your sympathetics will then increase your memory of it at first, say the first 3 days. You may also concentrate on it hard and intently, then relax immediately by thinking of something else entirely, and then concentrate on it hard and intently again, repeating that procedure several times. How to develop long-term retention memory. When your mind remembers the material well, your parasympathetics, feel exuberant, will recall it fastest for you during an intermediate time, say between 10 to 14 days after you memorize it. When your mind remembers the material well, however, your sympathetics, concentrate hard and intently, will recall it faster for you after a long period of time, say after 20 to 28 days after memorizing it. When you have learned a routine well, though, through repeated performance of the same task, your parasympathetics, feel exuberant, will recall it to you the fastest after a long time. Pursue the foregoing rules whenever you memorize and want to recall anything. And when you memorize it, immediately suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route to the section of your conscious and subconscious minds on your temporal lobes. Your main memory centers located on the sides of your brain. Your brain will then secrete the appropriate unknown chemical substance, X, with which to raise your memory power to its peak. How to recall the meanings of words instantly with the mnemonic meanings of words, objects, actions, and qualities. Recall instantly the meaning of any word by creating an easily grasped, suggestive meaning for it. You could do it with semantics by brutally memorizing all the synonyms and antonyms and applying them on every word you come across. Otherwise, you would have to memorize the meanings of hundreds of thousands of words outright from the dictionary, and that is a heartbreaking task. But there is an easy way to recall instantly the meaning of any word. That easy way is the mnemonic way. Just pick out some swiftly grasped, suggestive meaning from that word which readily suggests itself whenever you think of that word or see it on a page, and let it suggest the exact meaning of the word to you. Here's a list of words which you encounter regularly, whose meanings you usually wish to know at once, but whose exact meanings you seldom remember. See how their mnemonic meanings bring their exact meaning immediately to mind? The same can be done with any other word. Short selling, selling to get, stock, smaller. Prognathous, projecting, jaws. Mendicant, mending, clothes, beggar. Empathy, enter into another personality. Pathology, pain, disease. Rowant genealogy, ray, science of X-ray. Cosine, cousin, cousin of a sine, trigonometry. Quasi, qualifying. 628-7359. Sex to hate at 73 or 59. 465-9216. 4Cs5 at 92 or at 16. Sardonic, sarcastic. Atavistic, attack, reversion to primitive type. Decolletage, decorate, dress style. Diverticulum, divert, a diversion within the body. Diurnal, nocturnal, which is its opposite. Racemose, racing, into clusters as of grapes. Anthracene, gasoline, a hydrocarbon. Then suck in your mind-navel ether and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route to the sections of your conscious and subconscious minds and your temporal lobes, the size of your brain, see illustration 1 and chapter 2, and let your brain secrete the appropriate chemical balance, chemical substance, X, to incorporate the mnemonic meaning to it. Then let your altered astral body flow rush back down your psychastral route. Accelerate its leap across your nerve gaps with a power packet blast, feel exuberant, and project it back into your astral body. Affix it into its astral temporal lobe where it will be stored, ready for instant recall by you. The secret of phenomenal psychic master memory. There is a marked interest in finding drugs that can improve memory, retention memory that is. Strychnine was the first drug which reported facilitation of maze learning in the laboratory animal. It did so by stimulating the sympathetics. Later, picrotoxin and pentylene-tetrazole were found also to facilitate maze learning, but in different ways. Pentylene-tetrazole, for instance, does it by exciting the nervous system by decreasing its recovery time after it has transmitted a stimulation. Small doses of it speed up the transmission of the message across the nerve body and its nerve gaps, as well as cause unknown effects on specific regions of the brain. Magnesium pimoline, on the other hand, has increased the evidence that memory and learning may be linked to ribonucleic acid, RNA, in brain cells. Experiments conducted by researchers showed that rats fed with it learned 4 or 5 times faster and retained learning longer than normal rats or those given an amphetamine stimulant. 24 patients, ages 49 to 85, with diseases involving memory impairment, were fed the drug. The improvement ranged from slight to considerable. Doctors aren't sure how RNA, ribonucleic acid, improves memory, but many believe that its molecules carry thoughts in coded form, just as DNA carries genetic information. According to that theory, when you harbor a particular thought or live through an event, it is coded upon an RNA molecule or upon a protein molecule created by RNA. It is then stored in one of the billion of nerve cells of your brain. It remains there, ready to be called upon and used by you, much like the workings of a computer. Whether it is safe or not to take such a drug regularly is not the point, but the results show that memory can be improved 4 to 5 times by directly affecting the chemistry of certain molecules in the brain. That is precisely what the psychic master achieves with miracle memory power. With it, he affects the chemistry of certain molecules of his brain in a constructive manner. How the psychic master acquires his phenomenal memory. How does the psychic master achieve physiologically the same chemical results as RNA on his nervous system and brain with secret ESP plus control? This is how. First of all, ribonucleic acid, RNA, is present in yeast and contains the sugar D-ribose. Originally, it was called yeast nucleic acid, but it occurs in plants and tissues and is present in the cell cytoplasm, the body of the tissue cell, as well as in its nucleus. Now, ribonucleic acid, RNA, is composed of phosphoric acid and D-ribose, a pentose, adenine, guanine, purines, cytosine uracil, pyrimidines. The D-ribose is a pentose, a sugar with 5 carbons in its molecule, which arises in the body from hexoses, sugars with 6 carbons in their molecules. And the enzyme which catalyzes that reaction, or which makes it possible, occurs not only in yeast, but in liver and in bone marrow. That's why, in order to possess a fantastic memory, the psychic master eats very little fat so that his liver will not be overused and can therefore synthesize an abnormal quantity of this enzyme in an instant, and thereby produce, with secret ESP plus control, a superhuman amount of pentose to feed his temporal lobes, since carbohydrate, sugar, seems to be the sole source of brain energy. Next, instead of memorizing a conglomeration of irrelevancies, the psychic master concentrates on one word, sentence, or paragraph and lets his mind fan out into the extensions of it. Instead of scanning through a voluminous amount of material, he reads very little of it, but selects mainly the beginning and the end of it. But he reads them carefully and digests them thoroughly, squeezing information out of them which the scanner hardly dreams exists in them. He masters the art of penetrating reading with infinitesimal revelation, rather than engage in lightning reading with superficial condensation. He accomplishes more with one move or word, as a consequence, than the Westerner with countless moves or words. Then he sucks in his mind-navel ether and draws in his astral body flow up the psychastral route to his memory mind, his temporal lobes, to fill it with the information. Then he blasts it back to his astral body and stores it in his astral temporal lobes. Practice doing it yourself and acquire a phenomenal memory. Remember to consult Illustration 1 in Chapter 2. The importance of flexible, creative memory mind. In order to originate, invent, or create something new, a flexible, creative memory is absolutely essential. The retentive memory is the enemy of such a mind, and it is tragic that so much emphasis is laid upon that type of memory for learning, rather than upon the creative memory. But all leadership, top executive posts, inventive research, astounding business success, including commercial and renowned art, depend upon a flexible, creative mind. Even the new breed of college presidents, as many as 35 to 40%, according to the Wall Street Journal, no longer possess a doctorate. Colleges now seek active men with a head for business and with interests that reach far beyond that of the retentive memory bookworm. In business, John Diebold, at 38, has been a millionaire for years. He practically invented the computer age and coined the word automation. Yet, he admits reportedly that he scarcely knows how many degrees his men have. The ability to change is the important phrase with him. Not only to change in how you do things, but to change in what you do. To change in your goals, in other words, as well as in ways to attain them. So, to attain fantastic success in business, beware of developing a fact-cramped mind. It will help you there no more than a muscle-bound body will help you in skill or efficiency requiring expert use of your muscles. You cannot compete against a computer, and the rapid expansion and use of computers leaves less and less need for a rote memory. At the same time, it is resulting in a greater and greater need for flexible, creative memories, since the computer is as good as the mind that feeds it new information. An inflexible photographic memory builds on a memory-bound mind, a mind that cannot create or invent or think independently or solve new complex problems by itself. It leans completely on memory of the already known and will not reject these facts and seek and discover new rules and methods and conclusions. An important difference in uses of memory. You do need a retentive memory to pass examinations and other qualifying tests, but on the job which pays you, you need a flexible, creative memory if you expect to reach the heights. How to convert a routine memory into a flexible, creative memory and exploit your originality to the full. Heed the following 7 rules and develop a flexible, creative memory and assume the leadership position in life that will undoubtedly come to you. Rule number 1. Stay on top of the relevant information, as John Diebold advises, and use it properly. Taste everything you see, even what seems to have nothing to do with your own plans or occupation. Even glance at the women's magazines, as Mr. Automation, John Diebold, does. If you are a man, for you never know when you'll spot something relevant. Rule number 2. Refuse to let your mind memorize anymore. Let it stay as fresh as a baby's, so that everything that comes to its attention strikes it as novel and delightful. Rule number 3. Don't be carried off your feet, however, by opinions and conclusions of others. Always read between the lines. Rule number 4. Cast off prejudices or long-held beliefs which are founded on snap decisions made during less mature periods of your life. Re-examine the same question now with altogether new eyes as if you've never examined it before. Rule number 5. Investigate everything that interests you, down to the utmost detail. Even look up every word relating to it whose exact meanings is the least bit vague to you. Rule number 6. Seek for originality, not in the main theme, overall subject matter, or main body of anything, but in the universally overlooked, seemingly insignificant detail, in the footnotes, so to speak. There lies its new growth potential, or its carefully concealed weakness, which can show the new direction for developing it yourself, or can prepare you for the new direction in which someone else will develop it. Rule number 7. Don't listen disdainfully to the impressions, conclusions, or suggestions of associates many years your junior as if they know far less than you do. Listen vigilantly to them instead, for theirs is a fresh impression seen from the angle of a new era, and it might contain the gist of the very new approach you need. By intently, consistently applying these 7 rules, your memory will turn flexible, and you will zoom to the top of your field by seizing the big opportunities long before your rivals are even aware of them. That is how to convert a rote memory into a flexible, creative memory and exploit your originality to the full. Contemporary true life cases. There are individuals right in our own time who have touched the magic key to secret ESP Plus control over their miracle memory power. With that touch of Psychastra, they have performed miraculous feats for any type of memory instantly, which have brought them college degrees or positions socially or in business which they would never have achieved otherwise. Below are typical examples. The names of the individuals and the places have been changed. How book-hating Ken Atkins turned into a mental giant instantly and with a stunning vocabulary. 20-year-old Ken Atkins was what is commonly called a goof-off. He showed little interest in reading or studying, and in college he penned jokes about the instructors or the subject during class and slipped them around to his classmates. He wore his jokes out to shreds and had no interest in politics, culture, or arts, or serious music. He just lived off the allowance which his hard-working parents sent for him for going through college, worked in the summer to make more spending money, and was steamed up only by the sight of pretty girls. Hal Cohen was an antisocial classmate bookworm who tolerated Ken because he himself had no other pal. One Sunday, he and Ken escorted 2 co-eds to the Art Institute. Ken had never been to a sculpture exhibit before, and at the sight of Apollo's nakedness, he burst into laughter and pointed out its ludicrousness. The icy stares he drew from his companions crushed him like an ant under a man's heel. As the group drifted on, Ken was dazzled by the vast information Hal disseminated about art and culture, by his unforgettable choice of words, by his fascinating answers and explanations to questions which the 2 admiring girls asked him, all combined with a quiet poise and sophistication. Ken felt like a dirty, lecherous nobody suddenly finding himself in a parlor full of Nobel Prize winners. He wished he could run away and hide. But he could not. He had to stay right there and endure the full humiliation until the very end. Ken grieved over this plight for days, for he was by no means stupid. How could he quickly acquire what he should have been acquiring all along? Must he pass his whole life culturally and intellectually crippled, just because he had been a goof-off all through school? He lay in bed wondering what to do about it. If he could only soak in all the knowledge that Hal had, without waiting to relive his wasted cultural years. Why couldn't he just assume that he possessed all that knowledge and culture and just go ahead and use it? Yes, and why not? The extreme confidence in himself that he could change himself overnight into the person he should be by merely accepting the fact that he was that person opened Ken's silver cord valve to his astral body flow, which did possess all that knowledge and culture and vocabulary that he should have possessed by then. And suddenly, he possessed it. All at once, he was thinking with words he had never thought with before, and contemplating about subjects which he had totally ignored before. He was so excited by the change that he rushed off a letter to the young lady he had escorted to the Art Institute and astonished himself with the fascination of his word selection and sophisticated wit. Although unacquainted with the background of the cultural works he had observed that day, his comments about them were now startling and original and most entertaining. When he conversed with Hal the next day, Hal repeatedly stared at him askance and finally blurted, "What a changed person you suddenly are, like night and day. Why were you hiding under a bushel?" The girl Ken had written to could not believe it was his letter and thought it was a trick of Hal's. When she showed it to Hal, he shook his head and exclaimed about the perfect choice of words, the sophisticated wit, the deep insight into culture. Kenneth himself could not believe it, but it was true. He had achieved instantly what would have required tiresome periods of study. Radford Murphy got started at 30 and made millions by 40. At 20, Radford Murphy had completed 2 years of dentistry, but had stopped school because he craved to write. Until 30, he wrote but was rewarded only with rejection slips. His wife had inherited a small income and they had existed on that, but Radford's resented bitterly not being published. He had fallen in love with a certain period of American history and invented imaginary characters for it and wrote books romanticizing it with high adventure. But the publishers considered them pulpy and unrealistic and lacking in distinguished prose, memorable characters, important themes, or historical accuracy. But Radford felt sure that the public would escape into it just as he himself did in his imagination, losing itself in the world he had created out of that mass of bare, dry facts which lay buried in his subconscious mind and which he checked up on but altered somewhat whenever his bettered his plots. In despair, Radford and his wife saved from their limited income and bravely printed out 1,000 copies of one of his manuscripts and put them up for sale in railroad stations. Their shelves emptied quickly, and the readers came back begging for more. Radford and his wife courageously ordered bigger printings, and those sold fast too. Before long, they printed a second manuscript of his, and the feverish readers snapped it up just as quickly. In less than a year, Radford's books came to the attention of a major New York publisher, and he made Radford an offer to publish them and give them wide distribution. The reviewers called Radford's books pulp and trash, and expressed astonishment that any respectable publisher would demean himself by promoting such material. But Radford's books were successful at once with the general public. In the succeeding years, Radford was the rage of escape fiction and produced an average of 4 books a year, and each one was a bestseller. One after another was filmed, and he was paid handsomely for his screenwrites. Scripts based on them were dramatized weekly on radio and later on TV, with the program simply being called Radford Murphy. Ghostwriters were used to fill the insatiable demand. Scores of authors soon imitated him and also made fortunes on that type of material. Radford even imitated himself by producing more such books a year under a pseudonym. For nearly 40 years until his death, he averaged an income of $500,000 a year. He owned several big vacation homes in different retirement home paradises, both on the American mainland and in foreign lands, lived and wrote most of the time on his immense palatial yacht. He caught giant fish and enjoyed himself to his heart's content in the pursuits he liked. Books are being produced after his death, penned by ghostwriters and published under his unforgettable name. So is that TV program. Although he is gone more than 20 years, his heirs are not only millionaires, but are also getting richer all the time. All because Radford Murphy had used his creative memory rather than his retention memory. Summary of this secret power. Secret ESP Plus control over your memory power is the most effective power for performing unbelievable feats of any type of memory instantly. In order to master it most easily, pursue the following steps. Step 1. Use your parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous systems to control your recent and distant memories. Your parasympathetic, feel exuberant, is the best for short-term memory, while your sympathetic, concentrate hard and intently, is best for long-term memory. Step 2. Multiply your memory for meanings of words instantly with mnemonic meanings of words, objects, actions, and qualities. For example, for short selling, think selling to get smaller, that is, in price. Step 3. Acquire a phenomenal psychic power memory by reading penetratingly the beginning and the end of any article, thesis, or report and letting your mind fan out into it. Step 4. Convert a rote or routine memory mind into a flexible creative memory mind and exploit your originality to the full by refusing to let it memorize retentively anymore, but to remain as fresh as a baby's mind and to observe everything it comes across from a novel point of view, as if for the first time, or with the eyes of a genius. Step 5. Suck in your mind-navel ether after using any of steps 1 to 4 and draw in your astral body flow up your psychastral route and fill your temporal lobes, the size of your brain, with it. Then project it back to your astral body with the multidiff. Expect to remember the very best you can conceive of and in the quickest possible time you can think of, and store the memory of whatever you just acquired in your astral body's temporal lobes. You will have acquired one of the most useful and profitable miracle powers for attaining the greatest success in anything you undertake.